It is 10:01. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Just hours after the Predators press conference with Barry Trotz announcing he will be stepping down as general manager after the season, the Preds stormed back from down 5-1 in the second period to knock off the Blues 6-5. Steven Stamkos with the game tying and game-winning goals. It is the second 4-goal comeback in Predators franchise history. The Tennessee Titans are hiring Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator under Robert Saleh, according to multiple reports. It is Bradley's fifth defensive coordinator position in the NFL. He worked with Saleh just last season in San Francisco as the assistant head coach. Elsewhere in the NFL, the New York Giants are hiring former Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy to call plays under John Harbaugh. According to Adam Schefter, Nagy was a head coaching finalist here in Tennessee. In other news, the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics are headed to Nashville as Geodis Park has been selected to host 2028 Olympic soccer matches, according to a release this morning. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So another former NFL head coach joins the Titans staff under Robert Saleh. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you are off to a great start. See if we can't get you through the next 3 hours a little bit faster. We got Robert, Lucas, and me with you until 1 o'clock. We have given Jason Fitz the week off. He is out in Santa Clara doing his Yahoo Sports Daily Show. So Fitzy will join us next week to react to everything that went down out at the Super Bowl. But in the meantime, we should talk about Gus Bradley, who is one of two additions to the Titans coaching staff that was reported yesterday. You got a new safeties coach as well that we can get into throughout the course of the morning. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where the F&M Bank chat does exist if you would like to leave a comment there. Another Bald joins the staff.
Another member of the Bald Brigade. So that is Robert Saleh, the head coach, Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator, Randy Jordan, the running backs coach. Let's see, Carmen Brasillo, the offensive line coach, Aaron Whitecotton, the defensive line coach. Am I missing any?
Not to my knowledge. We were questioning Shea Tierney, the quarterback's coach.
He has hair.
Since we have since discovered that he has hair, he just chooses to wear a hat in basically every photograph that he takes, which is not uncommon. So, yet another Bald to try and bring the Titans a little closer to a functioning NFL football team. Now, the thing that we're going to talk about later in the noon hour is these are a bunch of former failed head coaches. Like, do you know what Gus Bradley's record was in Jacksonville? 14-48. Okay? And it's not to say, like, just because Saleh failed and Daboll failed and Bradley failed, and I don't think Bones Fossil won a game as the Rams interim. I think he's 0-3, 0-4, something like that. So you got a bunch of people who have failed at the job of head coach. Saleh's getting another crack at this, but do a bunch of individual failures.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What?
Nothing. You're just funny. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Do a bunch of individual failures mean that they will collectively fail or succeed here in Tennessee? That's the thing that we don't know. What? What's so funny?
Nothing. You're just funny. Does Gus Bradley's failed tenure as the Jags head coach a decade ago mean he will fail as the Titans defensive coordinator? 615-737-1045.
That's not what I did. I said, are they going to succeed together because they failed as individuals in these jobs? What, do you dispute that?
Well,
14-48 as a head coach? That's inspiring.
But is that what Gus Bradley, like, what is the totality of Gus Bradley's career? Is it as a defensive coordinator involved with a lot of high-level defenses, or is it more that he was not successful as the head coach of the Jags? What is he coming here to do?
Oh, he's coming here to be a non-play calling defensive coordinator. No, it's a wealth of experience. It's the complete opposite of what the previous staff was. I'm just curious.
I'm just like Titans fans are so excited to have all these former head coaches, to have an accomplished offensive mind in Brian Dable, Gus Bradley, an accomplished defensive coordinator who's not even calling plays. And the first thing is, do all of their failures mean they will have success in Tennessee? Well, you're very good at raining on parades. I got to give you credit.
Yeah, you know, it's.
Said, how can I think of this in the most negative way possible?
Buddy, I don't have to think that hard on it. They were all disasters in their respective coaching jobs.
Can all these losers make up a winning team?
That's the
theme of the show today from Buckley's. Gus Bradley, a very successful defensive coordinator, gets brought over, but he failed as a head coach like 10 years ago. So, I mean, how excited can you really get?
I think it's fair. Like, they are a bunch of losers as head coaches. Will they be winners in Tennessee? I don't know. That's how it was being sold by people like Jordan Schultz on Twitter yesterday. Oh, look at all these former head coaches on the staff. Yeah, but their tenures as head coaches were disasters.
Yeah, but that's not what they're coming here to do.
No, the one is.
The exception of Robert Saleh.
The one is for sure.
You're just funny.
615-737.
Gus Bradley got hired as the head coach of the Jags in 2013.
Sure.
has been a defensive coordinator
but on the backs of Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman. Like, you could have been the defensive coordinator of the Legion of Boom, okay? Like, I don't think that Gus Bradley was any kind of genius as a defensive coordinator because he coached one of the best defenses in football history, okay? Like, I don't think that gives him an outsized level of, especially if he's not going to call the plays. Will it help? Sure. How much is it going to help? I don't know. We'll find out. So, as we move forward through the rest of this, there is also a lot of headlines out of Super Bowl week that are worth talking about, and we will get to a Super Bowl-centric storyline segment a little later in the show. But okay, Titans fan, go ahead. Sunshine pump me about your collection of failed head coaches who are coming here to fix your football team. Go ahead.
Like, just the way you frame it.
Sell me on it.
That's just so funny to me.
Go ahead.
Like, I just think we're talking about apples and oranges discussions here. Gus Bradley has been the defensive coordinator of the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Colts, and the assistant head coach of the Niners in the 10 years that have passed since his unsuccessful tenure as the head coach of the Jaguars.
Would you describe every stop that he's had as successful? I would not.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I can go look and see where the Chargers defense ranked in 2019 when he was the defensive coordinator. But, to me, it's just two totally separate conversations. Like, yes, Gus Bradley did not have success as a head coach. He has had success as a defensive coordinator, which is what he's coming here to do, not to be the head coach, right? Brian Dable is not here to be the head coach of the Titans. He's here to do something that he has had a lot of success with in his career, and that's to call plays, to develop a young quarterback, and to be the offensive coordinator of the Titans.
Sure, but one of Robert Saleh's opening statements in the press conference was, rightfully so, the players are the most important thing. We have not gotten to the bulk of the personnel acquisition process, right? Free agency is more than a month away. We have several months until we get to the draft. So right now, it looks good on paper. If they don't get better from a roster standpoint, it's fair to question how much they're going to be able to actually do. We're going to talk about expectations, right? For Robert Saleh, he was asked at his press conference on Thursday about what he believes to be reasonable expectations for year one. And I think it's worth, if we go about this on February the 3rd, season expectations for the Titans. I had a couple of people on primetime ask me for record predictions before we even get to free agency. My God. Is it a good exercise over the course of the next couple of months to We've been through a month of the Titans offseason, right? Little less than a month since they last played a game. I think the Jags game was January 4th. If we go through this and say, all right, expectations after they've hired the bulk of the coaching staff. We don't have the entirety of the coaching staff, but on February 3rd, how much better do you think they are than they were a month ago? And then we do the same thing after free agency, and we do the same thing after the draft. And those things, as new information becomes available, you can adjust your level of expectation. I think that's an easy way for us all to talk about this without, going full-fledged, they're going to be a 9-8 team in 2026 because they've hired who they've hired.
Yeah, and record predictions in general are a foolhardy
Well, they're fun.
activity. Of course,
like,
they're fun.
I used to fight it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's fine.
Can we have some information before we do that? Like,
Sure, we've got
know,
information of coaches.
Yeah, but I have no earthly idea. I don't know who the Titans' number one wide receiver is going to be this year.
That is actually a conversation worth having at some point. Maybe we can probably talk about that tomorrow. We got plenty to get to today, but like the idea of Calvin Ridley, who has worked with Brian Dable as a college player. Now, that's a long time removed if you want to talk about work that people did with success a decade plus ago. Calvin Ridley and Brian Dable at Alabama. How much does that translate into 2026? I don't know, but it's worth talking about. The chemistry that was there, and could that potentially lead to, because how many people, how many of your friends or, Titans fans are just assuming that Calvin Ridley is a cap casualty because they could get out from under the contract this year? And how much easier does the math get at wide receiver if you're able to retain Calvin Ridley and turn him into something functional, even though he's for a wide receiver, he's going to be 32 in the next season. I think he's 31 right now.
Yeah, and coming off a season where availability was as much a concern as anything with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. So I think all of these things are worth talking about because we got a long way to go before they actually play a game, much less training camp or anything like that. So we can do it in phases, just like the offseason phases. Look at him back there. He's pissed because neither of us have acknowledged the thing that he's wearing on his head.
Ramon got Robert a big hat. Big Ravens hat.
What do you mean? On my this thing. Oh, I forgot I even was wearing it.
What are those called?
I think they're just called big hats.
It's like big noggin or something like that.
No, that's not true.
Hold on.
Nobody is using the word noggin in branding for an apparel.
They are called the Noggin Boss hats.
They are. He's wearing a noggin boss.
The worst part about this is every time I turn my head, I end up hitting the microphone.
Well, yeah, because, the thing has to be messing with your, peripheral vision to an extent. So if you have not tuned in to the show on YouTube today, you can see Robert in his Noggin Boss.
Noggin Boss.
Noggin Boss.
Big Noggin Boss
Ravens
Bert.
hat.
Well, maybe not Big Noggin Boss.
So Ramon purchased this for you because?
Well, because you were poo-pooing them on the show last week, and I was like, dude, those are high-dollar hats. That's good stuff. I would wear one of those to every Ravens game if I had one.
How much does one of those cost? Because I've seen them at Titans games, and I'm just confused as to why somebody would, does it keep your head any more warm than an average hat? Like, what is the functional purpose of that thing? Because it seems wildly impractical.
No, it's not that bad. Honestly, I kind of like it because now, if you'll remember, I got in trouble for standing up at Ravens games. They don't want you to stand up. So now I'll just sit down with this big-ass hat, and whoever sits behind me will have to stand up. And then I can promptly tattletale on them, get them removed, and then I can stand up. So it's all part of my plan. They're like $130.
$130?
Yeah, Ramon is the king of gift giving, dude. He has never gotten me something that did not make me want to cry.
Well, there's no way for me to gracefully transition from Robert's big head to coordinator hires around the league and how people feel about the Titans staff in retrospect, because there has been news as far as another offensive coordinator goes today that could have been the Titans head coach for all we know.
Maybe Titans fans have a big head after landing Gus Bradley, but how do their defensive and offensive coordinator hires stack up with the rest of the league?
Next.
10 head coaching changes, 21 offensive coordinator changes, 12 defensive coordinator changes. That's your NFL coaching carousel, which still is not complete in regards to the coordinator positions. Still a few open jobs, a few offensive coordinator jobs that are open, but the Titans have made their move. So how does it stack up? As we welcome you back, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, a great way to warm up during this winter weather. It was great to have a little team lunch out there yesterday. Robert demolished that half bird.
Do you feel any shame whatsoever about saying that you were going to take part of that home, half of your meal home, and then just immediately, like an animal, chewing on it, using your hands, your feet, all manner of different things? No utensils whatsoever, just a machine.
And I'd do it again.
Yeah, I know.
And again.
Damn right.
And again. And again.
I don't know if I've got a favorite Hattie B's location, but the Charlotte Avenue one it's solid.
Yeah, great
really
spot to sit for a quick lunch, especially when the weather's nice. The little patio they have going on.
Yeah, it's lovely.
News this morning. Sorry, go ahead.
If anything, I'm more embarrassed at you guys because you do not eat chicken with bones correctly.
Well, I got a sandwich.
Well, yeah. Well, that's your first problem. You got to eat it with the bone on it. But Lucas does not clean his bones.
I clean the bone.
No, dude, you leave too much knuckle, too much gristle, too much good stuff. You need to clean them. It needs to look like a carcass.
I don't clean the bone as well as you clean the bone. I'll give you that.
Oh, I'll be cleaning them.
You're one of those people that just puts a wing in your mouth and just pulls it out clean.
I'm serious. I got practice.
No, I'm fully aware.
I've been trying to get Cheyenne on that.
I've seen your work.
Everybody has their own techniques.
Lucas bought like 8 bags of these chicken skins.
They're so good.
Yesterday, he gave me one, and it's not something I thought I would like, but it was delightful.
They're awesome. People are really big into their macros these days. Everybody's doing a protein version of something. 13 grams of protein, a little bag of chicken skins. It's like pork rinds, but chicken skins, healthier for you. Maybe we eat it live on the air today at some point so people can hear the crunch. HattieB.com. The Giants are hiring Matt Nagy to be John Harbaugh's offensive coordinator.
Was he even interviewed? Because they interviewed Cliff and they interviewed Callahan, and those were put out there by the insiders as the finalists, and then all of a sudden Nagy's like, yeah, I'll take the job.
Out of nowhere. And they have hired Denard Wilson to be the defensive coordinator. Can you imagine if the Giants made this big push for John Harbaugh, they land the home run, and he hires Brian Callahan to coach the offense and Denard Wilson to coach the defense?
Well, Denard, I think, I'm not like down on Denard. Like, I would have been okay in a world if they decided to keep him. Now, I understand that maybe him and Saleh don't run similar defenses, so it didn't make sense when Saleh got hired and obviously wanted to call the defensive plays, but like, I don't know. Like, I'm not, like, I don't think Denard Wilson's a bad hire.
No,
I think
Denard did a nice job.
Callahan in a post-Joe Burrow experiment is 2 quarterbacks and over, right? So I don't know how I certainly wouldn't be excited about that if I was a Giants fan, but I don't know. Is Matt Nagy somebody that...
How do they feel up there about Matt Nagy, I wonder?
I think they're in a bit of a blender because somebody in the FNM Bank chat where you can interact with the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch said, imagine being a Giants fan, hype as hell because you got Harbaugh. That was the first job opening filled, right? They prioritized it, and then all of a sudden you got Steve Tisch, one of the co-owners, caught up in the Epstein files, mentioned 400-something times in the Epstein files.
Not good.
On top of the idea of Matt Nagy as offensive coordinator, which I don't know. Like, your guess is as good as mine, right? Denard, I think, is a solid hire. But certainly, it hasn't gone to plan in New York, right? Where he was basically expected to bring over a lot of the things that made the Ravens good last year, and all of a sudden Munkin's the head coach of the Browns, and you're in a situation where, who did the Ravens hire yesterday? They hired Anthony Weaver, right? Who I thought would have made sense in New York with Harbaugh, too, but Denard is a good option, I think.
That was slightly surprising to me. What role is Anthony Weaver coaching in New York?
He's not in New York. He's in Baltimore.
Or in Baltimore?
He's the defensive coordinator.
For a defensive play calling head coach.
Yeah, right. I would assume they're going to make him the associate head coach.
Yeah. He was a head coaching candidate in a lot of places. So some of these went a little under the radar. Declan Doyle, the Bears offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson, who obviously calls plays there as the head coach, takes over in Baltimore as the offensive coordinator. Sean Mannion, who was playing NFL football like 3 years ago,
Manuary
is the Kevin Patullo replacement in Philadelphia, who couldn't seem to get anybody with more than 2 years of experience. But people seem to like Sean Mannion, and if this trend continues, Sean Mannion is going to be the next head coach of the Bengals or something, because every other offensive coordinator under Nick Sirianni in Philly has landed a head coaching gig. So
well, I mean, they're either fired or a head coach, right?
Yeah,
like there's no in between.
It literally alternates. It goes Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, Kevin Patullo. So Sean Mannion, you're next up in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Davis Webb did get that promotion in Denver. So Joe Lombardi, after a dozen years loyally by Sean Payton's side, gets kicked to the curb because
surprising.
This young gun, Davis Webb, was starting to garner a lot of interest. He goes from QB coach to offensive coordinator under a play-calling Sean Payton. So which fan base, as we understand, the Jets, Cardinals, Raiders, Steelers, Bears, Rams, and Seahawks have yet to hire an offensive coordinator replacement. Seattle will be on the lookout after Clint Kubiak takes over in Vegas following the Super Bowl. Which of these fan bases do you think is most excited about their new coordinator tandem under a new head coach? Let's just keep it to the 10 fan bases that have hired a new head coach.
On both sides of the ball?
Yes. Speaking about the tandems. Atlanta is the only one that retained one of the two coordinators, as Jeff Ulbrich will remain under Kevin Stefanski. They hired Tommy Rees as the offensive coordinator.
I would have said Chargers, but their defensive coordinator to replace Jesse Minter is somebody from Western Michigan, Chris O'Leary.
Oh, in-house? Or no, you straight from Western Michigan?
Hired Western Michigan defensive coordinator Chris O'Leary to coach the Chargers is the thing that I'm looking at right now.
Interesting.
So I don't believe he was on the staff. I think they just imported him from college, which is what they did with Minter, right? Go ahead, Robert.
He was the safeties coach. Yeah, go ahead.
He was the safeties coach
2 years ago in L.A.
Okay.
So has worked for
familiarity. So, I don't know how Chargers fans felt about their safety coach now gone to college and coming back as defensive coordinator. I would have said Chargers because Mike McDaniel and Herbert.
Yeah, there's too much unknown there.
That's the best version of this. Robert, I don't want to rain on your parade of Declan Doyle and Lamar Jackson, but that's such an unknown to me because anybody coming from Ben Johnson's situation, it didn't work for Aaron Glenn, right? They hired and fired. What was Eggstrand? Tanner Eggstrand? Is that the name of the
Yeah, that's who the Jets fired.
Jets offensive coordinator who was under Ben Johnson, right? And it clearly didn't work. Now maybe you say Justin Fields and that was never going to be successful. But are you optimistic? Because it may be Ravens fans, depending on how people feel about Declan Doyle. He's 29. He's the same age as the quarterback.
Yeah, and positive about that. But I've also read into it, and he did a great interview with Ari Myrov talking about what he does for the Bears offense. So, I mean, it's a risk. It's a dice roll, but I think it's a dice roll that they weren't willing to do at head coach. They're willing to roll the dice a little bit more and find a collaborator and not a coordinator for Lamar. That's my quote, not theirs. That's not something they have said.
Sure.
But I assume that they wanted to get someone who is not so militant and someone who isn't coming from a place of, no, we're going to make what I want to do work. And someone who would collaborate more with Lamar on timing and how the calls are coming in.
Yeah, so I'd probably say the Ravens because they have the most high-end ceiling here with Anthony Weaver, who they're very excited about, who was successful as a Dolphins defensive coordinator, and Declan Doyle, the idea that he's this young up-and-comer who's going to be a partner for Lamar. Will he, be as effective as Todd Monken was? I think the question remains, but it seems like Ravens fans are pretty happy with their situation in a post-John Harbaugh world.
I would have said, if we're just talking about fan bases, Titans fans are the ones most optimistic about the OC-DC pairing in general. I think there's too much unknown about Declan Doyle. That partnership could work, and obviously the Ravens' ceiling is far higher than the Titans' ceiling in 2026. But Titans fans, if we're just to talk about selling your fan base, I would make an argument for being the most excited out of any of these 10 teams that replaced both. A lot of guys that are breaking in, young, up-and-coming coaches. As we talked yesterday about the youth movement not necessarily taking over in this coaching cycle, right? A few guys with their second job, Robert Saleh, Kevin Stefanski, older guys getting their first job, like Todd Monken. But the offensive coordinator carousel, we're talking about guys that are 30, 33. Tommy Reese is 33 years old, right? Davis Webb is what? 31. 31.
Oh, is he 31?
I missed this. The Commanders just promoted David Blau to be the offensive coordinator, replacing Cliff Kingsbury.
Purdue quarterback.
Yeah, who was playing in the NFL 3 years ago.
He's like a Lions, third stringer, I think.
Yeah.
He started a Thanksgiving game for the Lions.
Yep.
That's right.
He was the assistant quarterbacks coach in Washington for the last 2 seasons and makes that leap to be the play caller. So that's who Dan Quinn is betting on moving forward here. 30-year-old David Blau.
Yeah, I think the Titans are a fair argument because it's tough to find a fan base that's been down worse other than the Jets, right? Maybe Browns fans are similar, but those are the bottom 3 in terms of vibes. And I think, the biggest selling point for the Titans to their fan base is these names, right? These are the most name brand coaches that I think have been hired as a SAT word, triumvirate. Saleh, longtime defensive coordinator, former head coach. Dable, longtime offensive coordinator, former head coach. Bradley, longtime defensive coordinator, former head coach. These people have been in your lives as a football-consuming public for a long time, right? So you think, I don't know, is there something to the idea of name brand? Are they going to live up to the expectation that just knowing who they are more than these other guys, right? Because you're talking about dudes who just got in the league for the most part or who are ascending at a very rapid pace versus, I don't think none of them are I don't think any of them are in their 60s or anything like that, but you're talking about very much old guard NFL, Dable, Bradley, Saleh versus next-gen coordinator hires all over the place. These are just names that We have no idea how they're going to combine and be successful.
Yeah, and after hearing from Robert Saleh in his introductory press conference, it sounds like they believe they have some of those next-gen guys on staff. Maybe somebody like Shea Tierney, the quarterback's coach
or Stocker
comes over from the Giants, or Luke Stocker.
I'd be curious to see what happens with Luke Stocker.
Declan Doyle and Lamar Jackson are the same age.
Robert, we just said that.
You did?
We just said that.
Okay, I was looking at something.
Oh, my God.
Doyle is older, slightly older.
Go ahead.
It bears repeating.
Does it?
Yes.
I need to double-check the fact to cover up for this egregious mistake, but this has happened twice before, and I need to verify this, but in both cases that the offensive coordinator and the quarterback were the same age, that team won the Super Bowl.
No.
I need to look it up. I think Kyle Shanahan was 29 when I just need to look it up.
Matt Ryan was 20. Well, no.
Or went to the Super Bowl. It was some fact I saw on Twitter that I didn't bookmark, and I should have done it.
When was that Falcons
That was
Patriots Super Bowl? Was that long ago?
2017 season?
That does not feel that long ago.
No, he was
Shanahan
there.
has to
It was
be
before
older than
that.
that.
2016 season.
Shanahan's in his 40s, mid-40s.
He's 46, so he would have been in his mid-30s.
Okay, I don't have the stat. I shouldn't have said anything. I was trying to cover up for Lucas not listening to nobody.
Why?
I'm just thinking about those
The
chicken
only
skins.
way-
I'm just thinking about the chicken skins.
Just everybody get it together.
I got the Cheyenne voice. Oh, no.
I don't know how else to publicly shame you about not paying attention to anything that's going on around you.
Oh.
I thought you were joking.
If Robert said that, I apologize. So, of the open offensive coordinator jobs, Jets, Cardinals, Raiders, Steelers, Bears, Rams, Seahawks, what is the most attractive? Because we know the Jets is the least attractive.
Raiders. Well, Bears. I'd say Bears,
You're not calling plays.
right?
You're not calling plays in Pittsburgh either. Mike McCarthy's doing that.
But you're not calling plays in Los Angeles.
And probably not Vegas. I'm assuming Clint Kubiak's going to call plays. I don't know that. They haven't made it official.
We'll find out. I can't imagine you're hiring Kubiak to not call plays.
Mike LaFleur, he hasn't said one way he just landed in Arizona.
I don't think there's been a press conference to any effect.
So if LaFleur does plan to call plays in Arizona, then of the open OC jobs, the Cardinals, Raiders, Steelers, Bears, Rams, Seahawks, all of them except the Jets will be for a play-calling offensive head coach. So the Jets.
The Seahawks. Oh, Yeah, Seahawks.
Oh, and Seahawks, excuse me. So the Jets and Seahawks are the only open OC jobs where you probably will actually get to call plays. So the Seahawks, that's the most attractive. Easily.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is the Jets. I mean, basically everybody but Aaron Glenn feels like they got fired after 1 year.
What an interesting place for Seattle to be, to have to wait until after the Super Bowl to hire their offensive coordinator. Does Mike McDonald hire from within? It's obviously a huge hire for him.
I think you'd probably feel better about that if you're a Seahawks fan than going out and, Brian Callahaning your way. I don't want to use Brian Callahan as a slur here, but it does feel like a lot of people are like, I don't know. That didn't go well for you the last time around. Like, you're a much different player or a much different coach without Joe Burrow, Peyton Manning, all the quarterbacks that you cite on his resume when you're talking about success. And in reality, those players probably would have been successful with or without him.
Eric Bieniemy back in Kansas City as well. Drew Petzing takes over for Detroit under Dan Campbell. And the Dolphins keep Bobby Slowick in-house, moving him up from his passing game coordinator role to call plays for Jeff Hafley.
615-737-1045 is how you chime in if you would like to participate in this conversation. It's a good experiment. I know people don't want to look at the Titans as an experiment this year, right? They're looking for some level of like meaningful success, but it is kind of an interesting experiment, old guard versus new, as far as the coordinators go, about what ends up being more successful here. And it doesn't mean because if the Titans are successful that there's one way of doing it, or if I don't know who's got the least tenured coordinator hires here that we're talking about. All of these people have been in football for some extended period of time, but I mean, you've got a 30-year-old running the Ravens offense.
21 changes is crazy at OC.
Yeah, I don't think all of these teams are going to get better. Somebody's going to take a step back in a meaningful way. What about who's calling the plays for the Bills? Oh, Pete Carmichael. Pete Carmichael's been around for 100 years.
Wait,
Joe Brady's not calling the plays?
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, I'm sorry. As an OC, I said play caller. I should have said offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael is.
Brady has confirmed he's calling plays, right?
I'm sure that he is. I don't remember that explicitly. I can't imagine it'd be hard to find.
Was it before or after he bragged about missing the birth of his child? He will continue to call offensive plays.
Such a weird thing. I can't get over that. Like, that doesn't make you a good football coach, you weirdo.
615-737-1045. Philip is in Nashville.
Good, gentlemen.
Yep.
Real quick question. We're talking about all these coaches with their past records. Let's talk about the Titans' past 2 years' records, 3-14. So if these new, quote-unquote, losing coaches either match or win 7 games next year, do we consider that a successful season? Hang up and listen to what you said.
Thank you for the call. Well, that's very much the subject of, what are we doing that at 12:20 today, Robert? That kind of a thought experiment?
I would tell you, but I can't see the grid over the brim of this hat.
Okay, I can look at the grid for you. Yes, our plan is to talk about fair expectations for Robert Saleh in year one at 12:20 today. So we will answer your question at that point. Do I have things to give away?
Oh, boy, do we. We've got great tickets today. We got tickets to go see Post Malone.
Oh, at the Nissan Stadium show with Jelly?
They do not list Jelly in the write-up for this, but I assume it is one and the same.
It's that big-ass tour, Post Malone's big-ass tour or whatever it is?
It says, tell us what made you say, oh, no, this week to get 2 tickets to see Post Malone at Nissan Stadium June 30th. That's all it says.
Okay, so that's the Jelly Roll is opening for Post at that tour. Anyway.
Yeah, are you going to get us tickets for that?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, but only if we can be like backstage and pretend it's Europe.
I mean, I can. I don't think you can.
What? Why not, dude? I feel like if you let me hang out with Jelly one time, like, he would like me more than he likes you. There's like, it's unfathomable to me that he would like you more than he likes me.
They would have way more in common. There's no doubt about that.
That's fair.
They would have so much more to talk about than you two.
615-737-1045 is the number. What in sports made you say, oh, no, for a chance to see Post Malone, Jelly Roll, and there's another act on that tour. I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll give you ours coming up next. for the opportunity to win 2 tickets to the upcoming Post Malone show at Nissan Stadium this summer. 615 and a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa because, of course, they do make this segment possible. 615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Did either of you watch any of the stuff from Super Bowl media night? Famously, Monday night of the Super Bowl is when they have all of the players at various podiums, the head coaches at various podiums. They have a variety of different, like, fringe roster players wandering around. I even saw Todd Downing get interviewed as a member of the Patriots staff last night by some obscure Titans podcast that showed up at the Super Bowl. Media night at the Super Bowl is a disaster. It's not, not the gatekeep, but it's not actual media, right? It's a bunch of people wearing costumes, asking ridiculous questions, trying to get sound bites that are going to go viral. And I can't think of anybody worse than Mike Vrabel in a setting like that. So Mike Vrabel was asked last night at Super Bowl media night at Robert's earliest convenience. Does it also have the question?
It does.
Okay, let's hear the question that Mike Vrabel was asked and his response.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out, it is a must-win game. I mean, it's kind of the attitude that I've always taken in the National Football League.
Okay, so more diplomatic from Mike than I was expecting because in any other situation, he would probably, throat punch an individual that asked him if the Super Bowl was a must-win game.
I feel like if he was on his own turf in the press room in New England, it would have gone differently than...
You think he's playing nice because he's at Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, there's like celebrities everywhere and media everywhere, and it's this big... It's almost like a fair. Like, there's just these stands set up everywhere.
It really is like a bit of a carnival. Like,
yeah,
they could be dunk tanks for all.
Pretty much. I don't think he's going to dress down a reporter in that setting, but it is an undeniably stupid question.
I was genuinely shocked that he answered it so calmly instead of, ripping somebody's face off. That's what made me say, oh, no, just the level of dialogue at Super Bowl media night. It is one of the dumbest nights of the year.
As is the Pro Bowl, which this isn't the dumbest thing in sports this week. I suppose this could qualify, but the Pro Bowl is what made me say, oh, no. Pro Bowl is tonight, by the way, 7 p.m., AFC versus NFC.
Sure.
Still doing the flag football thing, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't either. The Pro Bowl has, it's kind of crazy that as the NFL has only gotten more and more powerful, has anything attached or tied to the NFL lost its juice more than the Pro Bowl?
Ooh, probably not, right?
I used to get so up for the Pro Bowl.
Really?
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, I remember in 6th grade, all the boys in the class arguing about who would win AFC versus NFC. And, all the little kids that were Saints fans or whatever were arguing why the NFC is better. And I'm a little Titans fan arguing why the AFC is better.
Why? Oh, doesn't Keith Bullock tell that story about Adrian Peterson, running with a purpose in the Pro Bowl after guys were, mailing it in, half-ass tackling?
And this is one of those things that I'm going to just sit here and point out a problem without any solution because I don't know what the solution is. I don't think they should be knocking each other's heads off either.
Just make it like the All-Pro list. It doesn't have to be an actual thing.
Yeah.
Just make a list. You can still have your contract incentives if you make the Pro Bowl. Just spare us all this stuff. I mean, there are television dollars attached to it, and I'm willing to bet that it outrates anything else that's on at the same time. What else is on a Tuesday night?
College basketball. I don't know.
Bet it ends up outrating because Duke
plays
Kansas.
Boston College tonight on ACC Network.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say the Pro Bowl is going to outrate the Duke-Boston College game.
Got Tennessee hosting Ole Miss at 6, going right up against the Pro Bowl.
I just don't ever remember watching the Pro Bowl. The only thing I remember from the Pro Bowl is Peyton Manning taking out that kicker one time.
Yeah, but you've never really been a football fan. Robert, did you get up for the Pro Bowl?
Oh, yeah. I wish that, I'd still get up for it. I still like all the videos they put out where they're going through practice and the guys are talking, like the Big Jeff talking with Deion Dawkins.
About pass rush moves and stuff like that.
I love that stuff. I the best at talking about, no, you wouldn't do this to me because I would do this. You usually don't get to see that kind of stuff. I dig that. I think they should have a rookies and stars game, kind of like the NBA does, where it's first and second year players and they get invited in. But yeah, exactly. Everybody's going to roll their eyes because it's like, I don't even want to watch the original Pro Bowl. Why the hell would I watch these guys?
No. I just meant don't model anything off the NBA. The NBA has not succeeded. That All-Star game, that's the only bigger joke than the Pro Bowl.
That's also lost a lot of its luster, for sure.
Like, the NBA All-Star game, I used to love. Like, All-Star week in the NBA, that's the pinnacle. And then we ran out of all kind of special dunks to do, and the dunk contest lost its juice.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, it's just kind of like, what's the Elam ending that they have in the NBA All-Star game now? I can't remember exactly the formula.
Like first to 130 or something like that?
They've changed something. I can't remember the exact details on it, but like they don't even care about the regular season. Honest to God, I think it's a fair allegation. Like it's tough enough to invest in regular season NBA inventory, much less the All-Star game.
Well, Joe Flacco is a Pro Bowler.
Hell yeah.
That happened over the weekend. So the Cincinnati Bengals have 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks participating in Flacco and Joe Burrow. The Cleveland Browns also have 2 quarterbacks that played for the Browns at one point or another last year in the Pro Bowl, with Flacco's going to the Pro Bowl as a Bengal, but he did play for the Browns. Flacco and Shedeur Sanders are Pro Bowlers.
You see Justin Fields turn down an invitation.
Yep. And you know what? I respect the hell out of that. I do. But it's not even something to get worked up about, but it is still something that comes up in contract negotiations, and there's financial incentives attached. So if it's going to lose all of its meaning, I feel like it should lose its meaning in regards to those discussions as well.
I am inclined to agree. Robert?
McDonald's wants to make your Valentine's Day ritzy as hell with your opportunity to get their new McNugget Caviar Kit.
Ugh.
So we've teamed up with our friends at Paramount Caviar to offer a premium product at a price that only McDonald's can, free of charge. Each kit includes everything you need to upscale yet effortlessly celebrate. A 1-ounce tin of McNugget Caviar, a $25 gift card to McDonald's for plenty of chicken McNuggets, plus cream fraiche and mother of pearl caviar spoon to top it all off. The kit drops at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, February 10th, right when we go on the air, exclusively at McNuggetCaviar.com. The supplies are limited. Yes, I'm going to, and we're going to try.
Oh my God, I'm so
not
down.
That.
Yes, you are.
No,
you are going to
under
eat
no
it because I'm going to get it.
Oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, next Monday, I am going to, and if you'll remember, I am a shadow drop. Well, we wouldn't get it. I would just order it next Monday. I am a shadow drop king. When Will Levis's mayo perfume went on sale, I got 2 bottles of it. I'm going to be there with bells on. I love caviar. I've had it once, and I got scorned for eating it too frivolously. It was like, oh, no, it's just a...
Yeah, you can't eat it the way that you shoveled that half bird into your mouth yesterday.
It's so good. It's like fish boba. I love it. I love the way it feels in your mouth. So I'm going to get us some McNugget Caviar as my Valentine's Day gift to you guys. It didn't even make me say, oh, no. This made me say, oh, yeah.
It's free?
Free of charge.
And so you can't order it until tomorrow? Or you can get it tomorrow? Well, I'm asking.
He wasn't prepared for follow-ups. 615-737-1045
I
is the number.
told you. It's next Tuesday, February 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is right when we go on the air. I read this whole thing to you guys.
I'm not kidding.
And it's like when I start talking, Lucas has it in front of him. He literally has the same website I'm reading
I had a brain fart moment.
He can't read and hear at the same time.
I was looking at the date on this computer, and my eyes were saying 2/9.
In the bottom.
So in my mind, today is the 9th while you were reading that.
This is what it's like when I talk to Cheyenne. I'm like, oh, baby, we got Anthony Weaver. Like, oh, man, he's going to be coaching our defense. I'm so excited. Oh, that's great, baby.
That's great, baby.
It's great, baby. Oh, that's so good. It's like
She's like
no
good job,
one
baby.
listens to me.
Do you remember that clip that I think Ross did for us last week where you were in the middle of getting ready to make a joke and he just immediately steamrolls you with whatever he was wanting to say because he wasn't listening to your joke?
No, it was good. That was a good time because my joke was terrible.
It was a good time, but it just ended up happening to work out for him. Like it was not skill that led him there. It was just sheer luck.
No, it was just good timing.
So grab your boo, your crew, or treat yourself to your very own McNugget Caviar Kit, exclusively available at McNuggetCaviar.com.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm very excited.
For the opportunity to win these Post Malone tickets, Michael is in Nashville.
Hey, Buck, how are you this morning?
Well,
Good deal, man. So My oh no this week, I want to ask you guys a question first. Who was the most impressive coaching candidate in this cycle? Not one of the sitting head coaches like Harbaugh, but in y'all's opinion, who is the most impressive?
Like new head coaching candidate?
Yeah, like, you had Liam Cohn and Ben Johnson last year. What about this cycle?
It's a good question. I don't know right off the top of my head, Ben. We don't have that much time, so you can go ahead and make your point.
All right, so I was thinking about it, and I'm just going to say, oh, hell no. Why do we hire Brian Callahan after all the stuff that's come out with Jeffrey Simmons talking on busing? The guy's not overly impressive in person when you hear him talk. They were undisciplined. It's not like he's inspiring or anything like that. He's got a famous last name because of his dad. But I would just, reflecting on it this year, obviously what you said, Buck, Saleh was very impressive, and his press conference had the players' attention immediately. So I would just say, oh, hell no. Why did we hire Brian Callahan last cycle? Hope you guys have a good day.
Remember to stay on the hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. Yeah, I mean, it's, kind of a marketing hire.
I mean, he sold people too, right? Like press conference.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think he was bad in press conferences. Yeah. Like, I appreciated that he tried to help people understand what he was trying to do. It's just he didn't do it very well. Quinn is in Murfreesboro.
Hey, guys. So my oh no for this week, I'm going to take it to the world of boxing. Man, Jared Miller, man.
Oh, yes.
His toupee. He got his toupee knocked off in the boxing match, man. That's my oh no, man. I call him Toupee J.
Oh, it's
Jared
so
Miller.
good.
That's my oh no, man.
Quinn, remember to stay on hold for the opportunity. That's the leader in the clubhouse. Did you not see this?
$700 is what that haircut cost him.
This man got hit so hard, his toupee came off, and he ripped the rest. It like half came off. He ripped the rest of it off his head and threw it into the crowd. It was sitting on a chair.
Way.
Yeah,
yeah, awesome. It looks incredible.
It's disgusting and
memed for
hilarious in real time. Zach is in Chattanooga.
Hey, Buck. What made me say oh no this week was in the biggest hockey game of the year. This Sunday in Tampa, watching the Boston Bruins blow a 3-goal lead and lose it in the final shootout.
That's brutal.
It was electric. Stadium series stuff. How about the Preds last night? Storming back from down 5-1.
Very good. Eli is in Franklin.
Good morning, Chuck, Bert, Lucas. My oh no this week is going to the 30 Seconds to Shine to the NBA. Sean flooding my ex timeline with 0 for 8 on Giannis trade rumors.
Okay, so Shams just out here spewing information ahead of the deadline.
Quinn is the winner.
Congratulations, Quinn.
Well done, Quinn. All right, so Quinn will go to the Post Malone show. Remember to call us every week at this time for the opportunity to win great prizes. Biggest Super Bowl storylines are next.
11:04. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Only hours after the Predators press conference with Barry Trotz announcing he will be retiring at the end of the season, the Preds stormed back from down 5-1 in the second period to beat the Blues 6-5. Steven Stamkos with the game-tying and game-winning goals at Bridgestone Arena. The Tennessee Titans are hiring Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator under Robert Saleh, according to multiple reports. It is Bradley's fifth defensive coordinator position in the NFL. He worked with Saleh last season in San Francisco as the assistant head coach. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Giants are hiring former Chiefs OC Matt Nagy to call plays under John Harbaugh, according to Adam Schefter. Nagy was a head coaching finalist here in Tennessee. College hoops tonight, number 25 Tennessee plays host to Ole Miss at 6 p.m. You can hear the Vol Network call right here on The Zone. And in other news, Nashville SE's Geodis Park has been announced as a host stadium for 2028 Olympic soccer matches for the 28 Los Angeles Olympics. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
This year's Super Bowl is an intriguing matchup for a couple of different reasons, but we were doing the Fox National show on Saturday, and Jason Fitz asked me a question that I had not really thought about. From a national standpoint, people aren't really treating this particular Super Bowl like it's an overwhelmingly exciting game. I don't think that the storylines that we're interested in are storylines that intrigue the rest of the country, but I think Nashville in particular has an outsized level of investment in what this game is going to be, not just because of the Mike Vrabel of it all, but from a couple of different angles. We're going to talk about the biggest Super Bowl storylines here locally, beyond just what else is going on in the world of the Super Bowl, because we could talk about Bad Bunny and what that's going to look like leaning into the pre-Super Bowl hate that he's going to get at the Grammys. I don't know how many people watched the Grammys or saw his acceptance speech. Was that his first Grammy win?
Oh, I think so.
Our resident Bad Bunny fanboy?
He won Album of the Year, the first Spanish language only album to win that award,
of which we will expect to hear very much of at the Super Bowl halftime show. But would you say, so Chiefs-Eagles last year had a lot of outsized interest, right? It's two of the biggest brands in the NFL. It's two of the biggest star quarterbacks in the NFL, two of the most famous coaches, and certainly the idea of the Chiefs would that have been the Chiefs' three-peat opportunity?
Yeah, Chiefs were looking for a three-peat. It was a rematch from the Super Bowl 2 years prior, where the Chiefs won, so the Eagles got their revenge. It was not the Kelsey Bowl,
right?
But there was a lot there for sure.
So let's take the Nashville part of it out of the equation for a second. What is the most interesting thing, writ large, about this year's Super Bowl matchup to you two?
I feel this feels so reductive to say, but it's more about who's not in it than who is.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that being a credit to the two teams that are playing for the Super Bowl, the year two leap that Drake May made, the way Sam Darnold elevated what he did last year in Minnesota, as Minnesota, in the meantime, fires the general manager that let him go. So I almost hesitate to say that because I feel like it's just taking from what the Seahawks and Patriots have done. But I think that excites people. I think it's good to not have another Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
But it's still the Patriots and the Seahawks, two teams who have played for multiple Super Bowls, obviously.
Yeah, literally played each other almost a decade ago.
Right. And it feels like the outsized storyline this year is the rematch, even though it's not really a rematch because it's not the Legion of Boom against Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with that
It's
game.
not Russell Wilson versus, Bill Belichick and Vince Wilfork and all these different
there's not
things.
A single player still around. Is there a special teamer
is
or
Slater
something?
still running around out there?
I think there are 4 members from that Super Bowl team from that Seattle won that are still in the league, but I would need to
Still in the
double-check
league,
those.
but not on the team.
No
No way.
Yeah, because that was your question, right? Like still with the
It would have to be
teams.
like a long snapper or something.
Yeah, no, I think Slater, the longtime Patriots special teamer, has since retired, number 18 for them, who was there for, it felt like 100 years. The most interesting thing, I think, from a national standpoint is you're going to see that Malcolm Butler interception over and over and over again. But it's not really about these two teams because Sam Darnold and Drake May isn't a marquee matchup, right? Even though they're two of the most successful teams in football, people aren't looking at them. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I am not, if I am a casual football fan, not somebody who works in sports or who's cataloged these two teams the whole way through in their respective journeys from what were the Patriots last year, a 4-win football franchise, and the Seahawks making one of the biggest changes at quarterback in the league to ultimately have success after going, they were 10-7 in Mike McDonald's first year. They weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. They just lost some tiebreakers, and so they missed the postseason. But Drake May and Sam Darnold are not marquee players. Who is the biggest star player in this Super Bowl?
Who is the most marketable, if we're going to have that version of the discussion?
Like JSN?
But even then, like how many people would say JSN because despite him being one of the best wide receivers in football this year, statistically he was not the best wide receiver in football this year. He was one of. But how many people would list Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or even Puka Nacua before they would get to JSN? Like, are we just dealing with maybe we're a little bit, and again, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. People in the Pacific Northwest, we feel very, very far removed from Seahawks, anything, right? Other than the Titans played there in 21, and the idea that the Titans did interview Mike McDonald and ultimately ended up hiring Brian Callahan. Many people interviewed Mike McDonald and ultimately ended up hiring different coaches.
Yeah,
the Seahawks were the last vacancy filled that year.
For the casual fan, like the person that is just going to be going to a Super Bowl party, right? Cooper Kupp is a more recognizable name than Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, see, I think Stephon Diggs outweighs them both just because of the Cardi B.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like if we're going casual interest in the Super Bowl this year, Stephon Diggs is probably that, but not at this stage of his career, right? Where he's been a productive player this year, there's no question, but he's more of a role player.
Who's going on although he did not play for the Seahawks, so I don't know if he's going to have a big impact. Stephon Diggs, big in revenge games this year.
Oh, okay.
Some of his best performances against the Bills and Texans. Who's got the Super Bowl? Who's broadcast? NBC. So which player from each team is going to be up on the NBC promo graphic all week?
Vrabel
over Drake May?
Yeah. I think Mike Vrabel's the belle of the ball. You want to talk about marketability?
Yeah, a former player won the Super Bowl as a player with the Patriots.
And he's
year one in New England.
He would be the second former player to then coach his franchise to a Super Bowl. Is that the fact?
Like to coach the franchise that he won a Super Bowl with to a Super Bowl win?
I believe that is the fact that was being put out there, and I can't remember who the first one would have been.
Was it Tony Dungy?
With the Bucks?
Colts?
Did he play for the Colts?
Nah, he didn't.
Yeah, I can't remember who is the first of their kind. Vrabel's the second.
Yeah,
but
I think he was a Super Bowl champ as a player with Pittsburgh, right, Dungy?
Yeah, I think the biggest star of the show is Vrabel.
Okay, players then. Strictly players. It's the two quarterbacks. I mean, it is. I don't know what argument can be made for
how many. And again, I'm talking about casual NFL fans. I'm not talking about like us. How many people would be able to correctly identify Sam Darnold?
A lot of people. He was a top 3 pick. He was
a
the
decade
face
ago.
And he was a quarterback in New York.
And USC. I mean, yeah, he's the face of seeing ghosts with the Jets, and he's this big reclamation project. He was a huge storyline last year in Minnesota.
He sure was, for sure. But again, I'm talking about like the Super Bowl is not the average NFL fan, right? The Super Bowl is everybody. I don't know who you're appealing to because you're trying to brand beyond just, you're trying to market the Super Bowl to everybody, right? It's why Bad Bunny is in it this year. It's why all the different eccentricities around the Super Bowl are different than any other football game because you're trying to get the biggest possible audience. And I don't think Sam Darnold is who you're putting your marketing force behind.
The chat is saying Mike Ditka.
Oh, Ditka. Okay, Ditka with the Bears.
But technically, he did not win a Super Bowl.
He won an NFL championship.
He won an NFL title in 1963 before the Super Bowl was officially the Super Bowl. So maybe Vrabel would be the first if we're just keeping it to that. But I think it's also a statement on the league's parity, this Super Bowl matchup, what's happening this year.
Is it? Isn't the whole argument against the league's parity is how bad the Patriots' schedule was? They just kind of rolled through it.
I think you're talking about the fact that, again, who was left out of not just the Super Bowl, but the playoffs. When the league's parity was a harder thing to hammer the table for when the Chiefs are going to Super Bowl after Super Bowl and gunning for a three-peat, something extremely unprecedented in the NFL as we know it. And now here are the Seahawks in year 2 of Mike Macdonald with Sam Darnold, the reclamation project at quarterback, and the Patriots in year 1 of Mike Vrabel, who were thought to be a 5 to 6 win football team in 2025, just being a testament of if you make the right moves and you take advantage of the path the NFL lays out. Again, the Patriots were one good Joe Milton performance away from having the number 1 overall pick.
For sure.
They very easily, if Joe Milton doesn't go crazy against the Bills in that regular season finale of the 2024 season, the Patriots easily could have had the number 1 pick instead of the Titans.
Somebody pushes back on your comment there by saying, Lucas, the league's parity would mean it's 2 new teams, 2 new franchises.
2 franchises,
I mean, they
sure.
are 2 new teams. They are definitively new teams. They are not new franchises in the equation. I mean, are you actively rooting for I guess the Cardinals have played in the Super Bowl. Titans have played in the Super Bowl. Cardinals and Titans both have not won a Super Bowl. They're 2 of the 12, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Now, if Drake May ends up winning the MVP the night before the Super Bowl, right, I do think that gives him a little bit more juice as far as once you become an NFL MVP, because he's 23. He just got here, right? He's in his 2nd year in the NFL. Like, Drake May is not, I mean, New England is a huge franchise for a big part of the country that will obviously be heavily invested in Drake May's success and his storyline, but I don't know how many people are talking about Drake May as star of the NFL. You become an MVP if he beats out Stafford, which is unlikely. I think that then takes a new level of intrigue and a new level of respect for people. But people are talking about Sam Darnold in terms of, is this going to be the game he chokes? Is this going to be the game that he sees the ghosts? Not, oh, look at good on Sam Darnold. I mean, there is plenty of that, and Mike Macdonald, I think, has banged the drum for that as much as anybody.
That's what I hate for Sam Darnold. If it does happen, if he throws 2 picks, let's say, and they're pivotal in the game, and it's a huge reason why the Patriots win, that's going to be the discussion
Forever.
on Sam Darnold. Yeah, but was always going to happen, like Carson Beck in the national championship. The death pick, it was inevitable. Just took a while to get to it.
But you are the person who does that.
I did that with Beck.
To Beck, yeah. Like, you're going to be mad at people, but you do that.
It was always coming.
So, I'm curious to see like what the level of dialogue is about these 2 teams moving forward. Because they are 2 famous franchises, but it's not a lot of star power in the Super Bowl, ironically enough, this year. Another question that Robert asked yesterday, some actually good work that Robert did yesterday. Robert, how would you like to set up this segment?
I wouldn't. What's harder to find, a franchise quarterback or a franchise head coach?
Coming off the Vrabel conversation, we'll talk about that coming up next.
So what is harder to find? A franchise quarterback that you feel can have you firmly in a Super Bowl window, or a head coach that you feel can lead you there at any given point? The answer is you probably need both. But which of the two is more difficult as 10 teams find a new head coach heading into the 2026 season? Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, your go-to spot to pick up some food for the big game on Sunday. How do we want to go about this? Do we want to first sit here and try to lay out the head coaches in the NFL that we believe can be one half of the two that are required to put you in a Super Bowl window?
Sure. You're just going to go through starting head coaches or head coaches for every team?
Well, you tell me if there are any head coaches that are left off this list that very much belong on this list. The two head coaches that are participating in the Super Bowl on Sunday have to be on this list because they're literally in the Super Bowl. They are Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid is obviously on this list. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Sean Payton. I have John Harbaugh on this list, even though he's coming to a new team.
He's won.
Right.
He's on it.
Nick Sirianni is the defending Super Bowl champion still.
He's an interesting topic, actually.
And this conversation is not black and white, cut and dry, right? But he did win the Super Bowl last year, so I have a hard time saying Nick Sirianni is not capable of winning a Super Bowl when he still has the quarterback that he won it with. Who knows? Sean Mannion could be the second coming of Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore, and so on. Outside of those names, anybody egregious? Should Jim Harbaugh be on that list?
He's coached in one. He lost to Roberts Ravens in 2012. Harbaugh should, I think. I would also put Todd Bowles did not coach that Brady Super Bowl. That was Bruce Arians. Dan Quinn was in the Super Bowl.
We've listed, what, 8, 9?
Yeah.
9, including Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Johnson? That's a trajectory thing, but it's hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, Bears can't get to the Super Bowl with that pairing. That's hard for me to do.
Okay, but we're not doing pairings right now. We're just doing the coaches.
Sure. Just the coach portion. I think Ben
Johnson's skill set give his team an outsized advantage over any other participant who does what Ben Johnson does?
I think his skill set.
Is Ben Johnson better at what he does than Sean McVay is at what he does?
Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl, has been to multiple, but I do think Ben Johnson, as a play caller, very much puts the Bears at an advantage.
I am inclined to agree. So I will take Ben Johnson as a franchise coach. So we're not doing like, can the coach get to a Super Bowl, right? We're doing this. This coach defines the franchise that he coaches for.
LaFleur?
No, I don't think Matt LaFleur is a defining characteristic of the Green Bay Packers, even though his responsibility is greater, and he does the thing that McVay and Ben Johnson and, I mean, Andy Reid, like all these different people do. But I don't like Matt LaFleur is not such a critical component of the Green Bay franchise that I would consider. Like, I think that's more about Green Bay than it is about Matt LaFleur. Like, I think you would have to have a significantly bigger deal of a coach for me to look at Green Bay and say that coach defines that franchise.
At what point, though, do we have to look at a winning percentage of 65
completely fair
and wonder how many active coaches can touch that at the moment?
I think Green Bay is a weird example because I think the Green Bay Packers are above. Are a greater brand than any coach that would coach them, if that makes sense. Now, that's not necessarily the exercise. But I don't know. I struggle with LaFleur. Somebody who gets to the playoffs that often and doesn't win anything. And he's not a champion the way that Tomlin is. Like, he has been to the postseason 6 times in 7 seasons, but he has not done appreciable winning.
Chicago Titans fan on the F&M Bank chat, where you can hang out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, says Zach Taylor in Cincinnati is the litmus test for this conversation.
No,
I think his point about him being the litmus test is an interesting one. That's a guy that has been to a Super Bowl with the quarterback that he still has. Bad defenses have let them down over the last few years.
Injuries to the quarterback. Last year.
Yep.
And their offense hasn't been the problem, right? I mean, that's not the thing that...
Not when Burrow's healthy.
Right. Well, I mean, even with Flacco, like they had some ridiculous numbers with Flacco this year.
Eventually, it just got to be too much to overcome.
Sure.
But that's why this is, by nature, a reductive conversation, right? Because it takes a lot of different parts and pieces to work.
Yeah.
For Zach Taylor to get to a Super Bowl, he has to have a function.
Let's do it this way. How many... Go ahead, Robert. You have something?
Yeah, and maybe this is going to go into what you think. I think we are looking at this a little bit differently, where it's like a franchise head coach has to be able to get you to a Super Bowl. I don't think that's true. A franchise head coach has to put you in the position to make a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, is Josh Allen not a franchise quarterback because he's never been to a Super Bowl?
Right.
Is Lamar Jackson not a franchise quarterback because he's never been to a Super Bowl?
Agreed. Put the Super Bowl of it to the side. Let's change the parameters of the conversation. How many of these coaches definitively have a superpower beyond what their players give them? How many coaches are definitively a plus on the sideline? If I wanted to have the Matt LaFleur conversation, I would cite his last game and say, your in-game management was a disaster. I think that Mike Vrabel's superpower is in-game management. Now, Vrabel's superpower, you could also say is stretch, but he's got stretch, and he knows how valuable that is to make sure that he can manipulate a lot of these situations. How many coaches in the NFL definitively have a superpower? Because I'd take Harbaugh off this list.
See,
Which one?
I would argue with that because
Okay, go ahead.
I think Harbaugh gets teams ready to play in big moments outside of the playoffs. Where you can say, oh yeah, they didn't. But if you go look at John Harbaugh's record on Monday Night Football, go look at John Harbaugh's record in primetime. He gets guys ready to play and is a CEO type coach. He gets guys hired on the defensive side. He's able to find guys and work with the general manager in tandem, and you never hear him bitching about, they didn't give me this guy I wanted, even though it came out after he was fired that he wanted Puka Nacua.
Sure.
Like, being able to manage people is a superpower, and delegate is a superpower.
It's fair. God knows it was severely lacking here. I guess I'm so much more concerned about the in-game than I am about leading up to it. Because that has an expiration, right? John Harbaugh can't necessarily help you in-game the way that McVay, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, who else is on this list? Shanahan, Mike McDonald. All of those as in-game coaches have a definitive superpower. Harbaugh's can be a superpower, but Harbaugh's it's to a point.
Right, but then I would take Dan Campbell off that list.
I also would take Dan Campbell off that list.
Because Dan Campbell is a motivator, right? He's the run through the brick wall guy. But I think that's a superpower. I think if you have somebody who can put you in position to go to the playoffs consistently and be in a position to potentially make a Super Bowl, that's a franchise coach. You don't move off that without a reason. That's why I think we all agree Sean McDermott was so perplexing, because all they did was win.
Yeah.
All they did, if it wasn't for that one Mahomes 14 seconds left bailout, how differently is he viewed if he got there once? So, to me, and just to maybe put a statement out there that would get us to some finality, I think it is harder to find a franchise head coach than it is to find a franchise quarterback.
I 100% agree. I could not agree more with that statement. You see so many middling quarterbacks, not even middling, above average. Guys, this is the Ryan Tannehill. You want to talk about litmus test? Is Ryan Tannehill a franchise quarterback? He was sure as hell for the Titans for a 3-year span. Does a franchise quarterback have to be definitively your guy for 10 years? No, I don't think that the parameters should extend that far, even though that's what people want. They want a solution at the most important position to define it as the franchise guy for 10 years. I don't think that's how that works anymore. If you look at the starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, let's just take the last decade. So 2015 on. Peyton Manning, Cam Newton, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Tom Brady, the common theme here. Tom Brady, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. So there's
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold and Drake May, right? So that's an anomaly in the middle of this. I think the coaches, I'm not saying that the coach is more important. I think they're harder to find because I think there is so much, replacement level coaching to bad coaching versus quarterbacks who are in a situation where you are only as good as your surroundings to a certain extent because you don't have the superpower that Mahomes or Brady does, right? But you can get by without a guy without a superpower or with a guy without a superpower.
So it's like a chicken or the egg thing. Can a head coach, is a head coach more beneficial to a quarterback or vice versa, right? Because we've seen the opposite as well. Good elite quarterback play can lift, if we're talking about Matt LaFleur, right? Getting to NFC championships with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback in 2019 and 2020. What can be more beneficial to the other?
I think so again, franchise quarterback or franchise coach, let's take the Super Bowl out of it. I think you can have a lot more franchise quarterbacks than you have definitively coaches.
Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback.
Yes. And I think people would, and listen, he's coming off one of his best seasons by a mile, and maybe his best season as a pro statistically. I think that the bar is far lower for franchise quarterback, as ridiculous as that may sound, than it is for coach who can actually make a difference for you in the act of a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you have to be a guy that everybody unanimously says, yeah, that guy can win a Super Bowl. I don't think that has to happen for you to be a franchise quarterback. I just think there needs to be a long period of success. There needs to be a good fit with you and that franchise for an extended number of years. And everybody's going to have a different definition of it. A lot of people will say Ryan Tannehill was the Titans franchise quarterback. A lot of people will say, no, a guy that you bartered for essentially with Miami to come here and do a job in a 3-year window does not count as a franchise quarterback. Everybody will have their different definitions of it. There will be people that say you got to draft your franchise quarterback and develop him for him to be your franchise quarterback.
Statistically, that's inaccurate. They crash out far more than they succeed. These guys that are drafted high to come in here with, a number 1 overall pick or a first-round pick even. What was I'm sure the percentages have changed. This was a couple of years ago when we talked about this, but it's well under 50% of quarterbacks drafted in the first round that even start a playoff game for the organization that drafted them. So, in fact, it's far more likely that you go out and find a solution as opposed to organically drafting one. I think people almost have it in the same way that they talk about system quarterback being a slur. No. Everybody operates within the system. How much more you can do beyond the system is the superpower element of it. But in theory, all of them need to operate within the system to have the best chance to succeed.
Yeah, so I think we agree that the coach is harder to find. The coach that's going to assemble the best staff, that's going to put his players in the best position to succeed, which is what makes this coaching carousel so fascinating with 10 changes and the amount of first-time head coaches that there are. Coaches from all sorts of different backgrounds, offense, defense, special teams, guys in their 60s, guys in their 30s and their 40s.
I think this coaching stat, like the thing we talked about, things that the coaching cycle learned or taught us yesterday, I think it was just a good portion of it changed for the sake of change. I don't know how much of this is actually going to impact their process or their success, their level of success moving forward, just on face value of coach changes, not what they do to the roster, because the roster is obviously the more important component here. Because it can be, the player is still more important than the coach, but the coach can give you an outsized level of advantage that your average coach is not going to be able to give you. In fact, the coach is far more likely to make a mistake than to give you an edge from the sidelines.
So this stat from Forbes, I got it from Sumer Brain, which is incredible. It's kind of like a chat GPT for sports, even though it's kind of limited, but be that as it may. Over the past 5 years, 20 head coaches were dismissed within 3 years of their appointment, with 12 of those firings occurring within the first 2 years.
Yeah,
that's quite the departure from what it used to be in the NFL.
Yeah, well, owners chasing trends. It's, why can't I? Where's my Mike Vrabel? I mean, hell, the Titans just did that again. Like, they fired the guy, they went the opposite direction, and now all of a sudden it's leader of men type.
Like, I often think about how many times would Jeff Fisher have been let go during his Titans tenure if it was in this day and age and what we consider to be an appropriate timetable for NFL head coaches. And Jeff is a unique example here because obviously he takes over midseason with the Oilers in the mid-90s, and then there's the transition to Tennessee. But right out of the gates, 1-5 in that interim year, and then 7-9, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. That's the first 5 years of the Jeff Fisher era. There is the transition to Tennessee in that span, and you have 4 out of 5 years straight where you're winning 11 or more games, making deep runs to the Super Bowl, the divisional round, the AFC Championship. But then there's 5-11, 4-12, 8-8. Today, Jeff Fisher would have been fired after that 4-12 2005 season when you're on back-to-back years with 9 wins combined. And then he went 8-8 the following year, and then 10-6 followed by 13-3 in the 1 seed.
Do you know who has a better win percentage than Jeff Fisher? He just got fired.
He just got fired?
Just got fired. Now, that could be one of 10 individuals.
Yeah, Sean McDermott.
No, well, yeah. I mean, significantly. Mike McDaniel has a better win percentage. Now, the sample size is obviously significantly bigger with Fisher.
Jeff, we're talking about
Fisher was
20-plus years.
173 and 165 was Jeff Fisher. McDaniel is 35-33.
Like Duck Falling on the F&M Bank chat says, 98 Fisher should have been fired, 2001 Fisher should have been fired, and 2005 Fisher should have been fired. But after 98, they went to the Super Bowl. After 2001, they got to an AFC championship. After 2005, they were the 1 seed.
Matt Nagy has a better win percentage than Jeff Fisher. I mean, it's crazy. 615-737-1045. I do think the coach is the harder thing to find. The quarterback is obviously the more important thing to nail. Like, both of those things can be true. 615-737-1045 is the number. We got an update on the Joey Aguilar lawsuit. We'll give you coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Round the room, what did everybody get yesterday at Hattie B's?
I got the leg and thigh. Went medium. Some pimento mac and cheese and collard greens.
Ooh, I went medium. I get a half bird.
You got a half bird.
I got a medium half bird with coleslaw and fries.
Medium fried sandwich with the crinkle cut fries. So good.
So good.
So good.
I'm not even a crinkle guy. Like, crinkle cuts are probably my second to bottom fry.
Really?
Right above steak fries.
If they're done correctly, though,
Right.
crinkle
Yeah.
fries. I feel like they have a higher percentage chance of being soggy if you don't do them correctly.
Like, the best case for crinkle cut fries are like at a ballpark, like a high school or
Ooh.
middle school ballpark, and you can go over there and get a dog and some fries they're frying. Those crinkle cuts slap.
The thing that put it over the top for me yesterday was I was delighted to, I had forgotten that, I don't know if this is technically the kind of ice, but I always refer to it as the Sonic ice.
Nugget ice.
The nugget ice. That's what it's properly referred to.
The best kind.
It is the superior ice. Hattie B's has it, of course.
Yes.
They do.
My mom bought one of those nugget ice makers. And every time I go to her house, I feel like I'm just going in there and getting a scoop, just eating it.
All that to say, Hattie B's, all their Middle Tennessee locations open at 11 a.m. So you can sample that for yourself. So, Joey Aguilar was one of the latest players to take legal action against the NCAA in an attempt to play another season of college football. Of course, he's the most recent Tennessee starting quarterback, and he filed this lawsuit against the NCAA on Monday in Knox County Chancery Court for a 7th season of eligibility. So just the one season with Tennessee, obviously transfers from UCLA, where he transferred from Appalachian State. Before that, he is officially out of eligibility and currently unable to return for the 2026 season. But in the complaint, the argument is, quote, the NCAA generally lets athletes play 4 full seasons, and Aguilar has played only 3. But the NCAA arbitrarily counts the years he played in JUCO at a non-NCAA school as years he played for the NCAA. The NCAA refuses to give Aguilar 1 more year of eligibility, even though it gave all former JUCO players that relief last year after it lost a similar case against Diego Pavia.
So Aguilar was a plaintiff on the Pavia lawsuit. Yep. He has officially removed himself from that lawsuit. By the way, the attorney that he has hired, Cam Norris, just so happens to be the attorney that represented Nico Iamaleava during Nico and Tennessee's fight against the NCAA when they were trying to punish Tennessee for the manner in which they recruited Nico at the time. Obviously, Tennessee and Nico were victorious at that point. So Cam Norris is back alongside Tennessee as he represents Joey Aguilar. And there is a bit of a trend happening here. Alabama center Charles Bediako got that temporary restraining order, and he got that, as we know, through a judge that was a massive donor to the University of Alabama.
Whose wife was also representing, who's the
Darius
player?
Miles, who was charged for capital murder, the Alabama basketball player a couple years ago. So that was filed in the Tuscaloosa Circuit Court in Alabama. And now, since the NCAA has pretty much demanded that the judge recuse himself for the obvious conflict of interest, which he has, and Charles Bediako has a preliminary injunction hearing coming up in 3 days. So we'll see what happens there. Trinidad Chambliss, who has tried time and time again to get another year of eligibility from the NCAA, the Ole Miss quarterback, he has been denied, but he filed an eligibility lawsuit against the NCAA in Calhoun County Circuit Court in Mississippi, which just so happens to be about a mile away from campus. The judge just so happens to be an Ole Miss law grad. Now, Chambliss is arguing something totally different. He is looking to be granted a medical hardship waiver for his 2022 season at Ferris State. He redshirted at Ferris State, and then he didn't really play in 2022. He's trying to get a medical hardship for that year. Whereas Joey, like you said, is basically saying, I only played 3 years of NCAA football. Why should you treat me like I've exhausted 4 years when I haven't?
And citing precedent.
Yes. Where has Joey Aguilar filed this lawsuit? A Knox County court, where the judge is a graduate of the University of Tennessee. So it'll work for Bediako. We'll see how that pans out for him, as that judge has recused himself.
Look at Lucas now rooting for hometown cooking.
We'll see if it works for Chambliss. There seems to be this optimism that Trinidad Chambliss is going to be Ole Miss's quarterback next year. But nobody seems to have a clue how this is going to go for Joey Aguilar. The hearing is a week from today, February 10th. Maybe we'll get something new there. But Aguilar he's got the foot on the gas here, whereas Pavia kind of seems like he's moved on. I mean, he was at the Senior Bowl last week. But Aguilar is going all out, and his attorney is basically saying this is a matter of urgency, right? Because Joey has to figure out what he's going to do, if he's going to go to the NFL draft or be granted another year of college eligibility.
Okay, there was a comment that I read in the chat from Tyler, who says, as a Vol fan, I appreciate the hell out of what Joey did this last season, but as a college sports fan, I don't like this. Do you echo those sentiments?
I mean, I am biased here because I think the best case scenario for Tennessee football is to get back the leading passer in the SEC last year, right? Rather than rely on somebody, whether it's George McIntyre or Faison Brandon, being thrown into the fire. And what I think is a pretty big pressure year for Josh Heupel with a very tough schedule ahead in 2026. But no, for a guy that only played at lower level, like we're talking low-level community college, I don't think that should have to be granted against you as a year of eligibility in the NCAA.
Sure.
Like, I get where Joey Aguilar is coming from here. There are lines that can be drawn. Charles Bediako literally being paid as a professional basketball player before returning to college is a bridge too far for me. I understand where Trinidad Chambliss is coming from. If he has medical hardships that sidelined him in 2022 that he can present to a court, then yeah, I think it's fair for Trinidad Chambliss at 23 to want another year of eligibility. And I think it's totally fair for Joey Aguilar to show the NCAA he's only played 3 years under their parameters. Why should he essentially be charged for 4? Zakai Ziegler tried a different version of this last year when he basically told the NCAA, I played 4 years, but I want my redshirt year. Basically tried to sue to overcome a rule that says if you play more than X games, then you forfeit your redshirt. He basically just wanted to say, no, I still want my redshirt year, even though I played, to the max in all 4 of those years. I think that is also a bridge too far. But in Joey's case, I think he might have something here, even though he has technically spent 7 years post-high school playing at a variety of college football levels, but only 3 at NCAA member schools.
Would that make you feel better? Would that make you feel better about your quarterback, buddy? Not having to start George McIntyre and Faison, who's not a 5-star anymore for whatever reason. Would that
what's
make
the deal with that? They dropped him down, but then he's still technically listed as a 5-star.
Didn't they do that to another dude? Is that the Tristan Keys kid they knocked to a 4-star, or was that somebody else I'm thinking of?
Oh, I missed this. Where did you? Who knocked?
You had 2 5-stars in Faison's class that were both knocked down to 4 stars that someone wrote an article about. But,
okay, I don't know what recruiting service did that. I know he still is on 247 Sports, and so is Tristan Keys, to my knowledge. But yes, this would make me feel better. It would. I mean, just give yourself as many options as possible. I don't think George McIntyre and Faison Brandon up and leave just because Joey Aguilar has another year of eligibility and obviously has experience in this system. I think you put yourself in the best position to have success with a quarterback that is going to come back with a year under his belt playing for Josh Heupel, and put yourself in a spot to where McIntyre and Brandon compete for the job in 2027 and have a year of development in the system under their belt, have a year of putting on weight with this new strength coach that Tennessee got from Indiana under their belt. To me, that is best case scenario for Tennessee football, is if Joey Aguilar gets another year of eligibility.
So Rivals is who dropped both Faison Brandon and Tristan Keys to 4 stars in their ranking.
Okay, on 3, Rivals has pretty much been absorbed by On 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, okay, I had missed that.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Another Patriots legend denied Hall of Fame entry. We'll talk about it next.
12:01, good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Tennessee Titans are hiring Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator under Robert Saleh, according to multiple reports. It is the 5th defensive coordinator job in Gus Bradley's NFL career, former head coach of the Jaguars. Last season, Bradley worked with Robert Saleh in San Francisco as the assistant head coach to Kyle Shanahan. Elsewhere in the NFL, the New York Giants are hiring former Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy to call plays under John Harbaugh. That is according to Adam Schefter. Nagy was a head coaching finalist here in Tennessee. College hoops action tonight. Number 25, Tennessee, plays host to Ole Miss. That's at 6 p.m. You can hear the Vol Network coverage right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A lot of loser behavior from the Pro Football Hall of Fame voters. The Belichick thing took the news cycle by storm just a week ago. And today, Adam Schefter breaking the news that not only will Bill Belichick not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Robert Kraft, who is also on the ballot, will not be selected for entry into this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is a first-time Hall of Fame finalist this year, did not receive enough votes from the 50-person selection committee to be included in the class of 2026, which will be announced Thursday night when the NFL has its honors awards in San Francisco. Now, a part of this is Kraft was up against Belichick in the contributor category. So, in theory, when you see Bill Belichick not get in, you're like, all right, this has got to be the year for Bob Kraft, right? This is one of the most successful owners in professional sports, not just in the NFL's history. One of 5 finalists among contributors, coaches, and senior players who last appeared in a game in 2000 or earlier. That's the criteria for the senior players. Kraft was the contributor finalist, Belichick the coach finalist, Roger Craig, Ken Anderson, and L.C. Greenwood also in the category as the players. How the hell is Bob Kraft not in the Hall of Fame?
Everybody knows you have to win 7 Super Bowls as an owner to get in. Basic stuff.
We got to change the way this is done, right? Because, I mean, a part of the problem here that stands out is Kraft. Like, I think it does a disservice to Roger Craig, Ken Anderson, and L.C. Greenwood to have to go up against Bill Belichick and Bob Kraft in this particular situation. They should have a separate category unto themselves. Like, if you end up as a finalist for the coach, for the contributor, you should be in. Like L.C. Greenwood, Ken Anderson, and Roger Craig should not have to compete with Bill Belichick and Bob Kraft for a spot.
Is there an active owner that is an inductee of the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Jerry.
Outside of Jerry?
An active owner. Ooh, that's a good question.
I can't think of who else even would be outside
active.
of Jerry.
Rooney? But it's probably
Maybe.
his father, right? It's probably not the current Rooney.
Dan Rooney is, yeah.
Bashotti's not in there, right, Robert? Bashotti is not a Hall of Famer.
No.
Yeah, I struggle to think of an active one not named Jerry Jones that's in. But if you had to pick one, my God, Bob Kraft. Like, at a certain point, I don't think, I mean, maybe there is some level of pettiness, right? And the idea that there's even room for that conversation makes me hate people in my profession. The idea that you would have any level of malice for Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick just because you may not have liked your dealings with them and decided to vote for somebody else to get in the Hall of Fame when clearly they are the most qualified people in their respective categories. I think that you should have to pick one senior player, one coach, and one contributor.
We don't know who exactly is getting in.
Thursday,
right?
we will
It's
find
just
out.
being reported that they are for sure left
And it
out.
sounds like it's going to be L.C. Greenwood, Ken Anderson, and Roger Craig. like one of the three, right?
Get him next time, Bob.
That's garbage. How many times has Bob Kraft been up for this?
It's been almost 15 years now.
That's nonsense. There is no... Belichick is going to eventually get in. Why the hell Bob Kraft has been eligible for 15 years and still not in that's malpractice.
They're both going to get in. They're both going to be Hall of Famers. Roger Goodell kind of echoed that yesterday when he met with the media. He said, Bill Belichick's record goes without saying. Same with the Patriots and Robert Kraft, who is also a candidate. They are spectacular. They have contributed so much to this game, and I believe they will be Hall of Famers.
Quote, whatever perceptions may exist about any personal differences between Bill and me, this is Bob Kraft, I strongly believe Bill Belichick's record and body of work speak for themselves. Kraft would put out a statement because he's been asked about this a million times over. I don't know. Owners aren't made available at Super Bowl media night, right? It's just like the coaches. I know Vrabel was asked about it.
Marciano makes a good point on the FNM Bank chat. He says, this makes me think Bud Adams has no chance.
I mean...
Like, how does Bud Adams
There's
get
no
in?
expiration date on Bud, though, right? And
not that I know of.
Because there is an expiration, I believe, on the players. I mean, Bud Adams should also be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There is no NFL without Bud Adams.
Yeah.
But the Kraft thing is egregious. Like, respectfully, I think Bob Kraft deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than Bud Adams, even though they both should be in. It's not even a thought. Both of these individuals should walk into the Hall of Fame at any point that they want to. The idea that they're not. Like, because I could make it make sense in my head if Bill Belichick's exclusion this year was because Bob Kraft was finally going in after 15 years. The fact that they're both out makes me think there's some level of pettiness that's going on with the voting public. And there's only 50 of these people. And they haven't turned over in God knows how long. It's basically been the same individuals voting on this the entire way through. I think it's garbage. I think they need to reevaluate the structure specifically for the contributors category and the former players. It needs to be more inclusive. If Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick can't get in, hell, it should have been more inclusive with T.O. The fact that T.O. had to wait as long as he did was garbage. And I saw him get a little upset at the Pro Football Hall of Fame putting out a statement on behalf of the Belichick thing and not on behalf of T.O. But,
Just to play devil's advocate, I do think he should be in, but there is a reason why this is the greatest Hall of Fame in sports. Not everybody can get in.
That is one thing.
But he has to be in.
He will be. You just said there's no expiration.
He will be.
On T.O.'s part.
I don't know that. I don't know specifically that there's not. I don't think there is an expiration for the contributors. Again, I would defer to Kaharski. He's our resident Hall of Fame voter.
This is the first time Bob Kraft was ever a finalist.
Which is crazy in of itself. 15 years, he's just now a finalist?
Since 2000, only 5 owners have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. There are only 15 owners as a whole that are in the Hall of Fame.
I know, but he should be one.
And he will be.
Are you sure?
He will.
I'm sure the Adams family felt that way about Bud. Surely to God they'll put Bud Adams in.
He will be. There's no doubt in my mind. Part of this is, like, at the end of the day,
all these crusty-ass voters have to
I agree
die and move on from this profession before he gets in.
They have done a good job through history about making this the good Hall of Fame. I know we're upset because 2 guys didn't, but, like, besmirching the Hall of Fame voters, who are the voters for the greatest Hall of Fame in sports, is a fool's errand.
And they've all forgotten more about the NFL than any of us will ever dream to know in our lifetimes. But at the end of the day, I agree it's egregious Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Belichick's going to be in 15, 20 years. Are we going to care that he wasn't a first ballot? Or is it just going to be, Bill Belichick, Hall of Fame?
Does building one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the sport, he's 84, Bob Kraft. I don't know how much, I hate when we do this thing as a Hall of Fame where these people get in posthumously. Bob Kraft, whatever your issues with him, whatever your problems with the Patriots cheating, whatever you think about the hand job thing in Jupiter, Florida, get over it. Bob Kraft should be able to appreciate one of the best dynasties in sports that he was pivotal to build as a living member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think it's egregious. I get what you're saying. You're right. It is absolutely the best Hall of Fame. If that guy doesn't get in, bleep that.
I get it. Don't worry, though. Don't worry. Robert Kraft is going to get his happy ending.
But posthumously. Nobody wants the posthumous happy ending, right?
Doesn't that happen anyway? Don't you evacuate your bowels when you die?
Well, that's not a happy ending.
Well, I thought it.
Pooping yourself.
Well, everything. I thought everything just came out.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
God. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate at any point throughout the course of the show. All right. What are fair expectations for Robert Saleh in year one? We're going to do this basically through every phase of the offseason. The coaching staff's just been hired. Just based on coaching staff expectations, how do you feel about the direction for the Titans moving forward? We'll talk about it next.
This is one of those opens that I just feel bad to talk over.
It didn't seem to stop you.
You have to, though, because it's one of the shorter ones we have.
Okay.
So I have to trail him off.
It's such a vibe, though.
Who sings this?
Bobby Caldwell.
Good job. You looked at the screen.
I don't do that to him. This is one of the famous misconstructions of race, where everyone thought that this guy was not white, and he is categorically Caucasian.
Whoa, white boy with a little motion.
God forbid.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Bobby Caldwell. So the dust is starting to settle as Robert Saleh continues to put the finishing touches on his coaching staff. I think it will be interesting to set a touch point here as the coaching staff is being assembled pre-free agency, pre-NFL draft, to talk about reasonable expectations for year one of the Robert Saleh era in Tennessee. And then we can revisit it depending on how much money the Titans spend and how excited people are about the draft haul. But at this point in time, with very, very little knowledge about what the actual roster is going to look like in 2026, what range of wins would we say expectations should be set for Robert Saleh in year one? And by range, I say keep it within 2, like 3 to 5, 7 to 9, 13 to 15. You know what I mean? Like between 2, what range should be most reasonable at this point?
Would you like to hear Robert Saleh's answer before I give my answer?
I would rather hear Robert Saleh's answer.
There you go.
You know, that's always a good question, you know. Obviously, every team wants to win a Super Bowl. Every team wants to achieve the pinnacle of sports. That everybody does. But the realistic expectation is that this team understands what proper process looks like. Attacking every moment, attacking every day, finding ways to get better every single day. And I know that's kind of cliche and kind of boring, but at the end of the day, we don't have control over the result of a football game. It's an oblong football. You know, you don't know how it's going to bounce. But what we have control over is the way we attack our moments, the way we attack our day-to-day operation, the way we build confidence in our preparation so we can attack the heck out of Sunday to put ourselves in best position to get the result we want. And so from a successful being successful, what that looks like, I'll leave it up to you guys. But in this building, it's going to be about how we attack our moments.
Which is the correct answer for a coach who's trying to navigate expectations.
Can you imagine if just one time to that question, one of these coaches was like, 7 to 9.
Well, yeah.
About 9 wins.
I mean, that's basically what Chad Breaker did when he laughed at Dubin's question last year. You remember?
Yeah, the question was
the Super Bowl.
Wasn't that in training camp?
It was literally the opening press conference of training camp.
Can this team win the Super Bowl? I thought that was a very appropriate response from Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi. Like, look,
he had to catch himself because he laughed a little too hard, you know?
But can you imagine at one of these introductory pressers if, like, Jeff Hafley, when he's introduced to Miami, he's like, I'm thinking like 7 wins, boys. What do we think? Is that fair for year one?
Feel good? Feel good about 7?
How would everyone hands
buy your
up.
season tickets now?
A show of hands. Who would be good with 7 wins in my first year?
Well, he didn't say that we get to decide. He said, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide what success is in year one.
Well, let's do that, shall we?
All right. So you asked for a range, and I'll leave that to fans. I will give you a projected win total, given that we get projected Vegas win totals a little closer to camp. I think that the over-under should be set at 5.5, exactly where it was last year. And I am probably going to go under. I would probably say 5 wins feels reasonable as we sit here today on February the 3rd, before they have addressed free agency, before they have gone through the draft. I think that the coaching staff, for all the good things, the coaching staff that you've hired thus far, combined with the roster that you currently have, understanding that these roster pieces are going to change significantly in the next couple of months, as we sit here today on February 3rd, that coaching staff with this current roster, 5 wins.
That seems about right.
None of these coaches have proven themselves to be difference makers in the way that we talked about. Saleh, Bradley, Dable, superpower. Not as a head coach, understanding that Dable is going to be the offensive coordinator, where he has shown far more proficiency. Gus Bradley, I think there's a lot of happy Jags fans today to see the Titans hire Gus Bradley in any capacity.
Okay. Again, that was a decade ago. I have a hard time.
I'm talking about his resume since then.
Sure.
I'm not talking about his head coaching tenure.
I have a hard time saying Brian Dable's never proven himself to be a difference maker. Again, I don't care what his record was as a head coach. He's not here to be a head coach. So Brian Dable, to you, has never proven himself as a difference-making play caller in his career.
I think that he is definitely an above-average offensive coordinator.
So that's a yes?
Difference maker feels like a step further than above average.
So the Josh Allen thing just didn't really...
Well, Josh Allen didn't
really mean anything to you.
No, I think you can put a good play caller with Josh Allen, and a lot of people could look like difference makers.
Josh Allen, what the development of Josh Allen?
No, that's not what we're talking about in game. The development of Josh Allen is something that a lot of people get credit for. Hell, Joe Brady gets some credit for Josh Allen.
Sure.
Josh Allen gets the majority of credit for Josh Allen.
Sure.
Brian Dable can be an above-average offensive coordinator with a difference-making quarterback. Does he have a difference-making quarterback here?
It make it sound like he kind of just inherited Josh Allen.
No. He is as responsible almost. He is as responsible as anybody on that coaching staff for helping Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the person most responsible for his development. You do not have Josh Allen here. You have Cam Ward that you're kind of like, maybe.
Okay.
A little something?
Nothing. You're just funny. Okay. Go on.
Yeah, 5 wins today.
Yeah, I think that's a fair, sitting here before free agency and draft.
I mean, before the entire roster changes, 5 wins.
It's fair to just go ahead and set it there.
Yes.
Okay, to give this a little more legs, take the wins out of it. What would you need to see, either one of you, what would you need to see from this team in 2026 to categorize this year as a win?
Cam Ward definitively a quarterback answer moving forward because we don't have that answer yet.
Okay, what does that look like? Not statistically, but like command of the offense for you? Like, what does that look like?
That he has to learn a new offense. He has to have command over the offense. He has to have refinement as far as his technical skill set goes. He has to become a more skilled player and not just a backyard football player when the play breaks down and he can do something that makes you go, wow, look at that. Because it wasn't within the structure of the play. You didn't win within the structure of the play. You found a way to make something happen. That's a great asset to have. It's I would say that Cam Ward has that plus, right? Versus a lot of other quarterbacks. You don't see a lot of dudes who can make some of those plays. That's not what he's being asked to do on a down-in, down-out basis. There are far fewer opportunities for him to make that happen in a difference-making way. His job is to make the monotonous and the boring parts of his job far more routine than they actually are. I'm fine with as many wow plays as you want to throw out there. I also need to see you play the quarterback position at a higher level.
Yeah, tangible improvement, consistency over 4 quarters on multiple occasions, a very magnified, amplified version of what we saw from Cam Ward in the last half of the season, spread out over one entire season, feels like 1A and what you want to see from the Titans this year.
So on offense, they would need to win because of Cam Ward and not win because the circumstances of the offense dictate
I think they would need to win some games or be in a position to win because of Cam Ward.
I agree with that. That Cam played so well that they won because of Cam.
I don't want him to have to be in as many positions like that because I felt like there was an outsized level of responsibility on him on a bad team this year to try and make something happen, and he couldn't.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters when you're talking about, regardless of context of what's around a quarterback, at the end of the day, the majority of the time in the NFL, you need to win games because of your quarterback.
Sure.
How many games have the Patriots won this year because of Drake May?
But I almost want to go in with lower expectations for him, right?
Sorry, I'll let you do it first.
No, I just mean I don't want him to have to do as much. I want them to create a situation so significantly better around him where he can just do something routine and do that. Right? Just take the opportunities that are in front of you. Execute 15 of 19 for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's fine. You got the job done. No turnovers, QBR rating, win the way that Tannehill used to win. That'd be a huge step. Do it with a complimentary running game and wide receivers that are going to be consistent for you and make the plays that are there to be made. That'd be the first big step for them. That would, in turn, be him putting them in a position to win a game. Just be routine.
But you understand why that would not be enough for maybe the people listening to this, because
I don't care about them.
I know, but the whole last year you got done telling people that your expectations were higher for Cam because he was the number 1 overall pick. But now in year 2, it's like, I just want to see him do the little things. Like, I need to see him win because of the expectations in year 1. Like, I'm not debating what you're saying. I'm just saying the whole last year we talked about, he's the number 1 overall pick. We need more from him. He needs to do the expectations and the ceiling are higher for him to do these things.
Yeah, more is be a better quarterback, like play the quarterback position at a higher level. That was not something that Cam Ward did last year. Thus, the standard of yet do things more routinely as a quarterback to help put your team in position to win games. I don't need as much wow stuff from him. It's a nice thing to have. It's essential if you're going to have a moment where he can put you over the top. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, all these different things. He needs to be a more skilled quarterback. That might be boring at sometimes. That is the standard that I'm talking about.
Okay, well, here's the thing, that like you bring up Tannehill, and I understand Tannehill's the only good quarterback you've ever covered for the Titans, but also
Mariota had some moments.
The Titans didn't draft Cam Ward number 1 overall to keep things on track and be able to lean on a dominant run game and defense, which Tannehill did and did very well.
Matt Stafford and Sam Darnold just did that exact same thing.
Matt Stafford is a difference. Matt Stafford's probably going to be the MVP.
Matt Stafford is 37 years old. Look at the way that that the teams who are operating at the highest level to allow Matt Stafford to have that little of pressure on him with dominant run games and a great supporting cast. Matt Stafford is excellent, above plus. They're not comparable, Cam Ward. But if you're talking about formulaic success to give your quarterback the best opportunity to succeed, yes, absolutely. Don't get crazy with it. Build the best possible football team and give that player the chance to succeed.
Well, nobody's arguing that you need to put better pieces around Cam Ward.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding your argument then.
I guess we say, what do we need to see from Cam Ward in year 2 as the number 1 overall pick in the draft with Brian Daboll as his offensive coordinator? Yes, be a better quarterback, which means putting your team in a position to win games. Yes, everything needs to be elevated by what's around him.
Routinely.
Things were elevated around Jared Goff, and then what did Matt Stafford come in and do? He made the Rams ceiling a championship.
Sure.
Which was not the case with Jared Goff.
Matt Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Cam Ward is just got
I understand, but like your argument of you just need him to do the little things. Look at Matt Stafford, kind of falls flat.
Okay, I'm
Matt
sorry.
Stafford,
Look at Sam Darnold.
Sure, that's a better argument. But again, he's the number 1 overall pick of the draft. They need him. You're right. They need just regular formulaic success.
Special in moments. I want far more routine. I want to see him execute at a far more routine level than he did last year. And then if you can get the special moments, that's your plus.
Okay. You didn't really. Anyway. Continue. What was the next thing, Robert?
So what would success look like on defense for you guys in 2026?
That's a good question because Robert Saleh.
Let's look at some of their numbers.
His defenses, Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh's defenses in New York, were at a certain level after year 1, right? They didn't have the personnel in year 1. Their numbers, their underlying numbers were not very good in year 1 of Robert Saleh in New York. Dramatically improved with an all-star defense. How far are the Titans away, personnel-wise, outside of Jeffrey Simmons, to building a defense that can stack up with what we've seen in the past with Robert Saleh?
They need corners. They need
everything.
They need everything but interior defensive linemen, right? And even then, they could stand to have some more depth, right? Like, they essentially need everything. You could say, well, Cedric Gray, but, I don't know what Robert Saleh looks for in a linebacker, and I don't know how much more that's going to work for Denard Wilson than it would Cedric Gray or Cody Barton. I have no idea what Robert Saleh's criteria for a linebacker are. We see plenty of players who change schemes and don't have the same success year over year. So, yeah, I would say that this is more like Robert Saleh in year 1, where they finished about 21st, high 20s in defensive efficiency and total defense and things like that than it would be. Now, for what it's worth, Denard Wilson is a bit of a magician for getting them to be as good as they were specifically on third down. They were right at the halfway point. They were 16th in defensive third down efficiency last year, and I think people would have probably said, no, the Titans were one of the worst third down defenses in football in spurts. Now, scoring, I think red zone defense I would like to see them take a meaningful step. I think that speaks to as much to technique and scheme as anything else, especially where it becomes harder on the offense. I'd like to see an appreciable improvement there.
For me, on defense, what I would need to see from the Titans is the defense putting Cam Ward in the position to do what Buck deemed success for the offense. Don't put him in games where he's trailing by 14 and he has to have those hero moments.
Like at Miami.
Just like at Miami. At a base level, they need to keep things close.
College.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was in college.
They need to keep things close enough that he doesn't have to play hero ball and he can give what the defense have taken him. When you go in there and he's down, just like at the first half of the Rams game, what was that, 10-6? 10-7, something like that. Super comparable game. Second half, they get blown out. Cam's not even close. Cam's trying to do things to get them back in the game. If the defense can keep them in games where Cam doesn't have to do that, that would be a successful defensive season for me in next year.
This is more the chicken and the egg, or chicken before the egg, or egg before the chicken conversation than I think our coaching, our franchise coach, franchise quarterback thing was, because I think the best version of Cam Ward comes with just raising the level, raising the floor of everything around him, right? How good a quarterback is Bo Nix if that defense doesn't give him opportunity after opportunity to capitalize, right? How good is Sam Darnold if he doesn't have the defense that he has? The Rams have a good defensive front. Their corners were a problem. They have Matt Stafford to be able to make it up on the back end. That I maintain that the better team, that building the better team around maybe a lesser quarterback is the more successful strategy, understanding that the quarterback is still the difference maker in that situation. But I think you're going to get the best version of Cam Ward if you just simply put a better team around him.
Yes, but you understand the principle of him being the number one overall pick, and obviously that being necessary, and then what will be expected of him to take that to the next level.
Yep.
Right? Which is why the Tannehill comparison falls short for me, because what happened when the Titans needed Ryan Tannehill?
Threw 3 interceptions.
Threw 3 picks when Derrick Henry was rushing for 40 yards, right? Like, that is what you're looking for in your number one overall pick. Of course he has to nail down the mundane and things have to be elevated around him.
But, maybe this is a conversation that smarter people than at least me should have about the idea of how many number one overall pick quarterbacks actually do it. Because we're talking about a bunch of dudes other than Stafford who aren't number one overall picks.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are active now, we're talking about Stafford, Burrow,
Bryce Young,
Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young. Caleb Williams certainly did that this season for the Bears in year 2. Burrow has done that in his career. Stafford has obviously done that in his career. But, yeah, the hit rate is not exactly favorable. More often than not, the number one overall pick is not reaching the heights expected of a number one overall pick at quarterback. But it doesn't mean that those expectations are watered down or changed. The expectation in Vegas will be that Fernando Mendoza leads the Raiders back to glory. That's just what it is. That's the game.
Yeah. And that's well, it's not the game. It's what the NFL is selling you as the game. The NFL, that's why the draft has turned into such a giant industry. The idea of hope is undefeated. You can't lose the offseason. I mean, you can, I guess, but not really. That's what keeps people hooked. I mean, my God, how many times have the Raiders been through this alone if you're just citing the Raiders?
How many number one overall pick quarterbacks have they had in the last 20 years?
Jamarcus Russell.
Was he the number one overall pick?
Yes. Out of LSU, because that was Kiffin.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
Yeah.
Then, I mean, Mendoza might be the first one that they've had since Russell.
I think he is. Yeah, because Derek Carr certainly wasn't.
So, I think that Robert's point about giving him an opportunity to do things more routinely, I understand that you want him to provide you a special component already. We know that he can do the special stuff, right? I got a lot of, there was a lot of feedback in the comment section when I posted this Bo Hardigree clip, but I actually really liked the analysis from Bo, where he said, I know he can put on the cape. Sometimes I need him to be Clark Kent. And I think that would rub a lot of Titans fans the wrong way, right? Because I'm talking about having higher standards for the number one overall pick. But I guess in doing so, I want to see him just be able to operate soundly. And I feel like there were so many miscues last year, understanding he had all manner of things going wrong around him. And it would be almost impossible for anybody to succeed at a reasonably high level or operate routinely at a reasonably high level, given the Titans' current circumstance. but I'll start with the Clark Kent step before I try to leapfrog it for the Superman thing. Even though I imagine that sounds counterintuitive to most fans.
Sure, nobody's disputing that, but that expectation never goes away, especially when you flashed it your rookie year.
No, I'm completely, I'm not trying to fight that other than to provide both reasonable expectations and like necessary steps for him to take to become the player that you want him to be. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Sure, and everybody is going to, have a completely different path to getting to whatever your final product is as a quarterback, but I hesitate to do this to Cam Ward, but what Caleb Williams did in year 2 in Chicago kind of falls under exactly what a fan base is looking for out of their number 1 overall pick quarterback in year 2, right? Like, he kind of checked all those boxes. He did have, he had some inconsistencies with the mundane. Caleb Williams misses a lot of open receivers.
Some of the routine stuff that he misses are, I think, the biggest gripe with him right now.
But on aggregate, that dude put on his cape multiple times this past year with the Bears.
Sure, but he's a significantly higher-end talent, better talent than Cam is. I mean, nobody would dispute that. 615-737-1045 is the number. Last call for phone calls next. Fun show today. If you missed any of it, you can check out the podcast after the fact. Also, congrats to Ramon Foster and Will Bowling. I saw the sports media. What is the proper category? Barrett Sports Media? Is it sports? I don't think they're just doing sports anymore.
No, these are the sports rankings. So It is Barrett's. They do major market and mid-market, and they announce the mid-market, major market morning awards.
So like rankings of shows around the country in major markets and mid-sized markets, which Nashville is one.
That is correct. And they got 9th, which is a huge deal. Like, to be the 9th best morning show in the country is an outstanding accomplishment. So
well done by I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Robert.
No. Just a big deal. Yeah. They do a good job. I'm happy for both of them.
Well done. And Justin.
And Hawk. That was like a baby hawk.
What is that? That sounds like something getting run over.
I don't have a good hawk.
Sounds like when I accidentally step on Leo's little toes.
Oh. Is there a worse feeling than accidentally stepping on your pet and the noise that they make afterwards?
Because then it's like you really don't know if you being like, oh my God, I'm sorry, buddy, and you rubbing them. They're like, get off of me.
Like, don't touch me. Get away from me.
You animal abuser. Unhand me and put some wet food in my bowl.
I mean, there is no quicker way for me to bust out the treats than accidentally stepping on the pet.
And it's tougher for you because they're everywhere.
There's just a couple of them. If you go outside in the alley, then it's a little more hectic.
I know. I got to see Fat Ogre yesterday. If anyone out there within the sound of my voice would like to adopt a cat that looks like a orange,
that looks like you,
that looks like me, Buck has him in his backyard.
Oh, they live in the alley.
I love that cat. Fat Ogre is my #1 street cat of the year. Barrett Sports mid-market afternoon show cat of the year. Fat Ogre in Buck's back alleyway. Love that cat.
Last call for phone calls, if you got them, 615-737-1045. You want to talk about animals that look perpetually sad. That animal looks perpetually sad. Trey is in Nashville.
What up, fellas? Man, I was calling in to kind of get on Buck's side, man. Y'all team up on that, man. He ain't deserve all that.
Listen, I'm hardly a victim in this situation, but I appreciate it.
I consider it a fair fight. It's 2v1.
Hey, Buck, I seen you before, man. You got some height on you, so it may be a fair fight between them two. But no, I would say the same thing. It's last year. I just want him to move. Just keep the chains moving. I didn't care about nothing else. Keep the chains moving. Show me some progress. We know he can put on the cape. He did it a whole bunch of times. Hey, great. But I need to keep the chains moving. I need to keep the defense rested so they can get on. They can stop the opposing offense. He can get back out there, hand the ball off a little bit, and do the same thing. I'd rather have some dinks and dunks. I want to, get this rookie in there. And it's kind of crazy how the owner, she released that statement saying it's not my father's football no more. And then the last quarter, I was like, oh, look at here. Everybody happy about the run game again. I find that kind of interesting, too. And it was funny because I was a little validated when you saw Big Jeff on Bussin' with the Boys talking about the same thing. So I was like, yeah, man, let's keep this thing simple, man. He going to be the Superman that everybody wants him to be in the near future. But right now we just need him to just get used to what this thing is at this speed and at this level.
Thank you for the call, Trey. Appreciate it. Yeah, extend drives. Make some plays with your legs that don't look like you're being forced into it. Make less disaster plays. Hold the ball less. Just get it out. Live to play another down. Very, very routine things that he did. He did make progress, right? December was his best month of football. They went 2-3 in their last 5 games, which, listen, around here, you got to start somewhere.
And maybe to clarify, when I said that they need to win games because of him, that's not me saying he needs to throw for 450 yards.
I think that's what I got a little caught up in.
So for me, I just mean he needs to finish 23 of 28 for 253 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No turnovers, a succinct game. The game plan is not too big for him. I don't need him to throw for 1,000,000 yards. Just be a concise quarterback.
For Grizzlies fans out there, I know we don't do much NBA around here, but Jaren Jackson Jr. just got traded. They've been talking about trading John Morant, or it's been rumored that John Morant has been offered up in trade discussions for quite some time. I mean, there is just, if Ja gets traded, you talk about a lack of star power in the state of Tennessee pro sports. I mean, you're really hoping. I mean, Jeff, obviously, Jeff is an All-Pro defensive tackle, but that's a tough thing to lose if you're a Grizzlies fan. Those two, I thought they were going to do more winning of consequence. The jaw of it all really. Is John Moran a disappointment?
No.
He's so fun to watch.
If you draft anybody,
he's just such a dope.
If you draft anybody that's good, it's not a
There's
disappointment.
like 13 players involved in this trade.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So who's the big? Jeff is obviously Cam is probably who people would associate more with the Titans as a number one pick quarterback. But Jeff is the biggest star on the Titans roster.
Jeffrey Simmons by a mile.
The Preds at this point,
Forsberg.
Yeah, I'd say Roman Josi has been hitting some crazy milestones lately.
I think people just look at more like Forsberg's still younger and like top-end talent. Josi's still a high-level player, but probably past the peak of his powers at this point in his career.
Stamkos is playing like he was at the peak of his powers. A couple goals last night. Josi had 4 assists last night. But in terms of stars to the franchise, Roman Josi is one of the first 2 or 3 names out of your mouth when you're talking about the biggest stars in Preds history.
1A, 1B, but I mean the Preds, just from a public perspective, and again, we don't talk about the NHL much around here.
But in relation to the league, which pro player in the state of Tennessee is the biggest star in the context of their league?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's close. For fewer players on a roster in the NBA, was he the second pick in the draft after Zion? I believe it was Zion 1, Ja 2.
I think that's
no lower than 3. For
maybe
Ja.
Ball was in there somewhere. I think Ball went 3 to the Hornets.
He was the second pick in the draft. So top draft pick, star player at a very little-known program that I think people not little-known. People know Murray State, but you don't see a lot of pro prospects coming out of Murray State.
Yeah, it would be Ja.
It would be Ja.
I'd put Hani up there as well, former MVP.
I have a hard time putting MLS in the same category as the 4 major professional sports in this country.
This is probably a conversation for later.
Do you think that's unfair? I'm not actively trying to denigrate MLS.
No, like the discussion of star power in MLS.
Robert, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just,
It's very different from the discussion of star power in the NBA as it relates to just what American fans are watching. But in the context of that league, like what Hani Mukhtar is to MLS compared to what Ja is to the NBA, I think is an interesting discussion. Speaking of, you see this Olympic news?
Yes. Do you want to talk about it? We have no time left.
Nashville, because you didn't do the polls.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, we
Damn it.
Waiting on it.
Nashville will be hosting Olympic soccer games in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics.
Fun.
The final will be at the Rose Bowl, but Nashville was named a host city at Geodis Park along with Columbus, St. Louis, San Jose, and San Diego.
Cool. I think I'd rather have that than a World Cup. Just as somebody who lives here.
I don't know.
Just sounds like a logistical disaster. World Cup.
It will be awesome.
No, it'll be cool. It'll be much cooler from a distance, I think. For me, anyway.
Oh, the World Cup, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I would have loved to just be totally immersed in that. But men's and women's Olympics, probably the next best thing that Nashville could host in that regard.
Somebody says, is there a Grizzlies radio station in Nashville? I don't know anybody in Nashville that carries the games, right?
I don't know.
Not that I would tell you. Why the hell? It ain't us, so I ain't going to tell nobody to go nowhere else. Nope. Nope, they sure ain't. Sorry.
Had I done the polls today, Lucas, who would they be presented by?
Two Rivers Ford, I believe.
The South's most trusted Ford dealer. All right. We will look forward to having you guys with us tomorrow from 10 to 1. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bert and I are off prime time tonight.
Oh, yesterday we went out on a little team lunch to the Hattie B's location over on Charlotte Pike, West Nashville, delivered as always. I got the leg and thigh, medium heat, southern greens, and pimento mac and cheese. Robert was hungry, went with the half bird. Buck went with the chicken sandwich and their delicious crinkle cut fries. But you cannot go wrong at any one of the Hattie B's 7 Middle Tennessee locations, including B&A, flying in and out of Nashville. And there's a pretty big game coming up on Sunday. Not sure what your plans are. You may be going to someone's house tasked with bringing something. Maybe you're having people over. Maybe you're just enjoying it by yourself with your family, the comfort of your own couch. Well, Hattie B's is your answer. A big old bucket of those jumbo wings, a quart or two of those scratch-made delicious Hattie B's sides. If you're like me, the sides are very important. Hattie B's understands that. Head to HattieB.com or download the Hattie B's app. You get a free dessert simply by doing so, and let Hattie B's fuel your big game watch party on Sunday. Go to HattieB.com today.